What is going on, guys? We're here. We're live for a special Saturday stream, which I don't do all that often, but I figured there was enough reason to do one today because what we have seen over the past few days with G4TV, I said it in my other video, if you could write a handbook, if there was a handbook on how to destroy your brand and your reputation and your future, it would be written by G4 and what they're doing right now. To have somebody go and basically use something that they found insulting because a couple people called them out in the comments for getting something wrong. And instead of admitting that they got something wrong, instead of acknowledging that they may have been wrong about some video game knowledge, instead what this person did was turn to the fans and say, anyone who criticizes me, it must be out of your inherent bias, out of your sexism. And then after that, every host backs her up. Every host doubles down, proves what a terrible piece of garbage they have turned into. Man, not good news for G4. And I know you guys, the only reason so many years for Chris Gore, because you know Chris Gore is going to be here. He will be. About 5 minutes or so, Chris will probably pop in. So that's really exciting. I wanted to have Chris on because he was part of G4 for so long, and it was awesome having on Friday Night Tights last night. But obviously, there's so many people talking that I wanted to give Chris some time to kind of expound upon it. And also, I want to talk to Chris about what it was like earlier with G4, you know, and if he ever saw it, one, ending the way that it did 8 years ago, whatever, 7 years ago, and now evolving into what it has become with this comeback, because it really is just pathetic. So before we do that, before Chris comes in, I just want to say hi to a bunch of people that are here. I see a lot of people saying Machine Gun Kelly. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I have gotten a lot of use out of that thumbnail, haven't I? Got a lot of use. She gave us a very good picture to use in our videos. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. Let me take a look. I got Jens Jurgensen with the channel member chat. Says you're late. I am a little bit late. That happens. Those things happen, Jens. You've been a member for 9 months. You know this. Blue-Eyed Scorpio, member for 11 months, says, would have been a member longer, but you're not as bangable as the other hosts. What can I say? I do my best. I do my best. Why did the previous host leave, says Cryptic Galaxy? I suppose it just depends. Adam Susser's a Jack Murphy kind of guy. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. A lot of Liminal Order fans up in there. Again, the chat is on fire today. Everybody wants to hear about this and wants to talk about this. If you don't know, I feel like there's a lot of people that had no idea what G4 was up until this moment. If you're not familiar with G4, right now they exist as a YouTube channel, right? They exist as a YouTube channel, but they didn't always operate that way. For years and years, they were a network channel that you could get in a cable package. You know, they eventually merged and joined forces with Tech TV. So some of the great shows from Tech TV joined with G4, became G4 Tech TV. Then they just evolved into G4. And over time, they kind of lost their audience, and eventually everything got canceled, and you know, they went off air. And it was a sad moment for a lot of people, not because everybody was watching at that point, but because of the memories they had about the good times when you had X-Play, the initial period of Attack of the Show when it was starting to blow up. And what G4 did is, for people that liked video games, for people that liked nerdy shit, it gave you something to tune into and watch that wasn't just shitting on you or whatever for liking a video game. And they didn't take themselves super seriously. You know, they had a lot of fun when they were doing everything, whether it was a game review, whether it was talking movies, whether it was literally just kind of talking shit to each other. They didn't take themselves very seriously. And that was one of the great things about G4. But in the last few days, I mean, just in the last few days, it has not looked good. You can see the live sub count right here. They have lost 4,000 subscribers in a week. And that's even with turning on sub-only mode in their chat, which means they would probably be losing a lot less because people kind of want to stay around and stay subbed just so they can interact in their chat room, because G4 is running and hiding from any and all criticism right now. It's a sad, sad day indeed. I see some message deleted in the chat. Message deleted by G4. That's funny as shit, actually. And that's how it started. G4 censorship, cringe TV. Yeah, and I can talk about that a little bit right now, actually. Like, a lot of people just think this was out of the blue. It was from out of nowhere. That's not really the case. You know, this rant that Frost went on, we'll get a little more into it when Chris is here. But there's a perfect comment, if I can still find it here, from somebody that basically just called her ass out. I don't know. Let's see if I can find this shit. Anyway, I can't find it right there, but a couple things that she got wrong. They were doing a debate. Whoops. She's talking. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't think I had the audio shared, so you guys couldn't hear it. But a couple things she said that led up to this point was how, you know, Xbox is blowing PlayStation 5 sales out of the water. How PlayStation and Sony don't have any exclusives coming up that are, you know, any good. She talked about BioWare somehow being a Microsoft exclusive studio. No, that's not the fucking case. Like, over and over again, she got a bunch of shit wrong, specifically about Sony versus PlayStation versus Xbox. Turns out she doesn't own an Xbox, but she was just talking about it because maybe some people wrote that for her and she was misunderstood. That's why she was getting all this backlash. She turned that around into everybody hates me because I'm a woman, which is just fucking pitiful. Fucking pitiful. Chris let me know he's going to be here in just a little bit, which is awesome. Let me hit a couple of these super chats. Buford T. Justice for $20. Thank you so much, Buford. Gundam did a great video on G4, and he plays a video of Foreskin being factually wrong about multiple game topics every time she talked. Hope you're feeling better, dude. Yeah, I feel kind of like shit, which, yeah, that fucking happens. I was sick a couple days ago. I'm sick again. But speaking of someone else who may be a little bit under the weather, we'll see how he's feeling. But the reason that we have 1,000 people watching this stream 8 minutes in, everyone's really here to see Chris Gore. What's up, man?
Hey, Ryan, what's going on? I'm under the weather too. I'm sick. Like halfway through FNT last night, I started just like, oh, I'm coming down with something. Started to feel sick. And even people in the chat were giving me shit. They were saying like, Gore hasn't talked for 45 minutes. What's wrong with him? And but then I thought, and I told you originally, it's like, I'll come on, but I'm not going to be on camera. And then I thought about, as shitty as I feel now, it can't be half as bad as the job of moderating the chat at G4 right now. I think that's got to be the worst thing. And I thought, well, if they can power through and they can moderate chat on the G4 YouTube channel, then I can come on feeling a little bit under the weather. So happy to be here and chat more.
That's so stunning and brave, Chris. Just like the likely G4 moderator teams who were essentially deleting anything that wasn't just completely rah-rah G4, which is so nuts to me and so contrary to what we would kind of know the brand to be built on.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember the old G4 forums were freaking rocking. I mean, they were just like, you know, people had normal kind of conversations like you'd have on the internet. People would give each other shit and they would complain about things and factual errors or argue, of course, this console being better than this console, which is fine. That to me is just like normal, you know, geek talk, you know, but I always engaged with the fans, and I feel like it's kind of a missed opportunity for them to actually talk to people, right? Like, and I saw some of the comments that were getting deleted, and they're really innocuous.
Oh yeah, like I mean, the one I'm pulling up right now, where every single message that you can see is deleted, with the exception of "hi," "welcome," and "hi."
Right, like, how are you supposed to have a conversation? Even like, you know, from chats, like, and especially this happens on FNT or some of the, like, where the people in the chat are just they're talking amongst themselves. They're not even engaged with the programming, and they're making friends, you know, in the chat space, which is great. Like, that's part of the whole experience. I mean, that's, I think, what, you know, makes YouTube kind of like next level, right? Is that engagement, you know? I mean, you can even do what Jeremy did and invite your haters on, you know?
Yeah. And like, you can see I'm there too. My messages got deleted, and it's not even, I didn't even say like, fuck G4. I didn't say anything like that.
Right.
In fact, there's proof of what I said. I said, thanks, Carl Griffin, and hail Jeremy. Those are the terrible things I said that needed to be deleted by the G4 moderators. It's stunning where we're at. And
you alienate the audience. I mean, obviously what was said has rattled people, you know, and there's debate about that. That's a separate thing. But then now you've got like every person whose comment you're deleting or not, you know, that's just another person that I think you're alienating as a fan. You're like, I can't even come here and speak my mind, even if I disagree with some opinions, which is fine. I mean, to me, like just being around nerd culture since I was, you know, for a long freaking time. That's half the fun is debating and yelling and screaming about this or that or whatever like that. The conversation is part of the experience. So I don't know, man. And I'm seeing like, what's weird is I'm seeing like this G4 thing being talked about on channels that normally wouldn't talk about it. FNT, it's a natural fit, right? But Lauren Chen did a video. Other people are doing videos on it. It was brought up on freaking The Hill, right? Do you even watch The Hill? Like,
no, I do not watch that.
Okay, it's a political show. And there's a woman on there. Her name is Kim Iverson. She's in LA. And
I do follow Kim, and I see a lot of her stuff on Twitter, but I don't watch The Hill, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but she talked about G4, and I'm like, how is this? But here's the larger thing, and I think it even speaks to the Rogan issue, right? Like it's about alternative media. And what G4 decided to do when they launched the network on YouTube was just to do what you normally do on TV, and you cannot do that. It's just that ship has sailed. If you're going to be in this space where you've got forums and you've got chat, it's always going to be like this. So it's just interesting. It's sort of like the debate about Rogan and him surpassing, like, I mean,
everyone.
Yeah. And then you look at let's look at the nerd pop culture space, which you and I are in. Like that space is dominated by, you know, independent voices. Yourself, Gary, Jeremy, Eric July, Quartering, you know, Nina Infinity. I mean, you name off Lorena Creole. I don't know if you follow her. And she was talking about it too. She had a really interesting take. So
I always think it's interesting because, like you said, it's people that have never even heard of G4 before or don't even know what it is, or maybe have never played a video game in their life. They're hearing about this. And some people for the first time are hearing that G4 is back. And this is the way that they're hearing about something like that, which is not what you want if you're G4. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is because you're obviously were a part of this thing, you know, from when it was at its heights. And so for those people that aren't aware, because a lot of people don't know a ton about G4, how did it get started? When did it really kind of hit the cultural zeitgeist? And what happened to eventually have it taken off the air?
Well, I'm making a whole documentary about that, actually.
I know.
I can give you the short version. I mean, G4 was a brand that was started in 2002. Interestingly, I think it was like the first almost like 2 weeks that the network launched, it was just a screen of Pong being played. That was it. So if you turn to the channel, you'd see Pong on the channel. And then it merged with Tech TV around, it was like 2004, 2005. 2005, they kind of all, the people from San Francisco that were doing Tech TV moved down to LA to merge with G4 into one building. I was there. I was on 3 episodes of the Screensavers, and the Screensavers and X-Play, that was on Tech TV, right? Like, and I watched that show. I mean, I watched Morgan and Adam. I watched Tech TV, Leo Laporte, and it was like, I mean, it was really inside, like, you know, how to put a new video board in your computer. You know, it's like segments they wouldn't normally do. I mean, now that's sort of in the how-to space on YouTube, which is really useful, actually. People don't know how-to videos are like the most popular videos on YouTube among them, right? Like,
it certainly is helpful when you can see the dislikes on those videos to know if that video is actually going to be helpful.
I look up tutorials all the time for software or whatever, you know. It's I looked up how to make pancakes from scratch the other day. Got a good recipe. This is boring. Back to the G4 stuff. But I started on the network because I had already done TV previously, and I'm going to be honest, I fucking hated it. Like, I was on a show called The X Show, which was sort of like this version of The Man Show. The Man Show was around. I freaking love The Man Show. The Man Show was like girls jumping on trampolines. They gave the audience beer. It was incredibly irresponsible, very politically incorrect. It's when Jimmy Kimmel was actually funny. It was Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla, and I love that show. So there was this competing show. It was shot on the same lot. And I could never talk about how I love The Man Show to the people at the X Show. But the people at the X Show were really, really nice to me. They brought me in to do an audition, and they said, well, tell us what you think about, you know, Star Wars Episode 1. And I went on a rant about Jar Jar, and I've come to grow to like that movie now. Like, in retrospect, it's actually holds up, and it's the Star Wars prequel with the most practical effects. So I think the fact that I didn't care about being on TV made them really want me. And so that led to my first job. That led to doing a show called The New Movie Show. There are clips like this. And then I did a show for Stars called Festival. I just kept getting hired. And I think it was mainly because I didn't care about having a TV career.
It was like, that was the attitude that I feel like G4 was about back then. It was about not taking yourself seriously, almost not giving a shit, when not giving a shit was cool. You know, in 21 Jump Street, when Channing Tatum goes back to school and he's like, I don't give a fuck about anything. And they're like, you know what? You don't care about anything, man. You don't care about, like, that's what it was, though. That was kind of in. And that's what people were looking for. And that's what a lot of people like myself thought was cool, because it's not some super take yourself seriously. Like, obviously they had scripted stuff, but it felt natural and cool and normal.
Yeah. And most of the on-camera talent, you know, myself and like Morgan Webb and Pereira didn't aspire to be on television. Blair Butler, she was a writer, right? On X-Play, also wrote on Attack of the Show. And she did stand-up comedy, but she didn't really care so much about being on television. She covered comic books on Attack. So we would always talk about different comics. I would tell her stuff that I used to read and introduce her to stuff. But I would say the majority of on-camera talent that was on Attack didn't really, and G4 like sort of started in one space more as a writer and a nerd, and then was just sort of foisted upon, like, well, why don't you be on camera? You're good at talking about this stuff, right? Whereas most television that you see, most of what you see on CNN, most of what you see on almost all television are people being produced. They're all being produced from behind the scenes. I mean, most of these people, you know, it's like, you know, especially in the political commentary space, you can have a PO box in wherever, and you're, you know, part of some political action committee, and you're a Democratic strategist, and all you've got is a freaking PO box, right? You maybe worked on some small campaigns, but all these people are produced. You know, I was produced. That's why I hated doing television. So it was always like, okay, here's what's going to happen. You're going to look here and this. And I learned to read teleprompter, which is not that hard to me. I always tell people, like, if you want to be on TV, it's like, just read shit, like, and pretend you're not reading. You just, like, you're talking to a person. And then if you can walk up to a piece of tape, which is make your mark.
Yeah.
I just told you how to be on TV.
That's all you need.
Here, get your diploma. That's all you need. I mean, like, but the thing is this, people can smell, and I think this is why the YouTube age has really made this apparent with the success of people like Rogan, with the success of yourself, and the people from everyone and the FNT extended family. It's authenticity. I think that that's what people crave. They just want someone like Rogan to be able to, like, question something, right? Like, question an actual, you know, doctor about what's happening in the world right now. Or, you know, just like a philosopher, the people, he brings on some really interesting guests. Half the time I have no idea, you know, who's coming out, but I've discovered people from him. You know?
Never know if it's going to be a UFC fighter or an astronaut or a psychiatrist. Like, it's legitimately a million different things. And Joe Rogan's blown up because of that. And people love the long form stuff because, in large part, people are over the, recycled circle jerk 60-minute kind of soundbite stuff from like CNN or even Fox News or whatever it may be.
It's overproducing just kills. And that's why, like, when I got this call, so I did this is weird. I did like a guest spot on National Enquirer TV. And I didn't even care about it. I was like, I don't want to do this. Gossip is the thing I do not do. I don't care who's married to who. I don't care who's fucking who. Whenever I see like any sort of gossip that comes up on Twitter, I didn't even know about it and don't fucking care. I don't give a shit about gossip. Yeah. So this guy, Gavin Purcell, he convinced me. He said, look, please just do this segment. He came over to my house in Pasadena and just interviewed me. I even forget what the topic was. He remembered me years later because he became the executive producer of Attack of the Show. He didn't bring me in for an audition. He just brought me in and sat me down. He said, look, during this DVD Tuesday segment, you're just going to talk about DVDs that come out every Tuesday. You come in once a week. I mean, it was the least money I'd ever made in television at the time. I think it was getting paid like $250 every time I came in. So I was making $250 a week. Anyways, he brings me in and I say to him, I said, look, I fucking hate doing TV. I said, it's phony. People try to, like, when I did the show for IFC, Ultimate Film Fanatic, they did all these dressings and fittings with me. Like, we want to make you hip and cool. And it was embarrassing. I'm like, I'm not a guy. I'm a guy that wears like t-shirts and jeans, and I have my opinions and whatever. So he brought me in and I said, look, I have 3 requests, only 3. I said, 1, I want to be able to say whatever I want within reason, right? Like, just say what my opinion is, right? Like, unfiltered, whatever my opinion. Obviously, I'm not going to say fuck, right? I'm not going to swear.
You're not allowed to, yeah.
Not allowed to. But I did find out later, years later, that I could mispronounce swear words. So I would say, like, this director's a total shatheed. So,
oh yeah, well, like, even for me, that's how I have to try to get around YouTube's bullshit sometimes, so I don't get so you're not getting one of the bad words.
Right.
You hear Jeremy from the Quartering is the best at that, actually.
He's really
perfect at immediately censoring something that you know what it means, but he knows that YouTube will ding it.
Right. So I said,
and for a while there, G4, like at its peak, I put in the thumbnail, I don't even remember what E3 it's from, but just a picture of, Adam, Morgan, Olivia, and Kevin at E3. Yeah. And like, for a couple years, like, it felt like that was it, man. Like, that was just the thing. And everybody was tuning in, especially E3 week, to see them together, to see what they were going to do, to laugh with them and to experience it with them. And as someone who watched X-Play on Tech TV, and then it became G4,
right? I
watched a lot of them growing up. And, I don't want to spoil your documentary too much. Obviously, that all came to an end. There's a reason that G4 is not on there anymore. But what did you see shift with the company going from something like that to what it was at the end?
Well, I think I've told this story before. I'll finish it out, and then because it segues into my thoughts on that. Like, the 3 things I said is I want to be able to say whatever I want. I want to be able to wear whatever I want, so I can wear a t-shirt. No one's gonna. And I just wore t-shirts like friends of mine, bands, or like things that I liked, or even like Film Threat t-shirts I would wear, which is my company. And then
or Gary's Comic Outpost.
Outpost. I wore a Comic Outpost. It was, so I was just like, I want to wear shit that I support, right? Like, and then I said, I also want to keep the DVDs that I review. He said, well, I can agree to the first 2, but you can't keep the DVDs because we need to keep them in a library, which I found out later was just the producers stealing DVDs. They would just take the DVDs home. So, there you go. Yellow flash, message deleted.
G4 mods must be here, guys.
Oh my God.
The chat is fucking killing it right now. You guys are hilarious.
I look at it. I got it on the iPad here.
Yeah.
But that early days was like people that were unpolished. I felt I was very unpolished. I knew how to read teleprompter and sort of knew the basics of being on TV, but I never considered myself a TV person, mainly because I didn't care or want to go in that direction. And also, just in my limited experience, I saw how phony most of TV is. So I just never trusted it, right? Like, including the news. I know, like, now, like, people, I feel like people now are coming to an awareness like, hey, the news might be bullshit. a lot of the news might be some narrative that's being pushed. And it's probably always been that way. We're just now kind of awaking to it, right? Because of social media and alternative sources of media. Now it's like in contrast to that, you notice it. But I was on 3 episodes of Screensavers in 2005, and G4 was not G4 in 2005. It evolved, right? Like Kevin Rose was there, Sarah Lane. It wasn't quite, Kevin Pereira was there, but he wasn't full Pereira yet. He hadn't and I always consider him a guy that he's like Bugs Bunny. His role is to just fuck with everybody, which to me always ups my game or ups the game of everybody else that's there. Is he'll mess with you on purpose. He used to do this thing where, so right before I'd go on camera to do DVD Tuesday with Kevin Pereira, and he would do this to other hosts too. He'd go, "Hey man, I can't believe this. Can I show this to you?" And he would show the most vile, weird shit on his phone. Like, I don't want to say, but some of the most grotesque, horrific, horrible image. So you'd go like, ah, and then it's like 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And he was just fucking with you, you know? It was like, don't look up prolapse. If you look up prolapse, it might have been something I may have seen. Anyways, so he would but that was his thing. It was just like he loved to mess with you. And then, but again, he started as an intern, Morgan Webb. There was this thing where we weren't on TV because we wanted to be on TV. Everyone that was on TV at G4 wanted to talk about nerd shit. That's why we were there. I love talking about whatever, I'd talk about whatever mainstream movie was out because I had to, because this was the big movie release. So I had to talk about whatever latest Transformers DVD came out. But then I would talk about small indie movies like Following, which is the first movie that was directed by Christopher Nolan. It's a black and white 16mm movie that he made before Memento, and it played at the Slamdance Film Festival. It's the only DVD where he ever did commentary. See, I still got it on the DVD side, even though people aren't fucking buying DVDs anymore. I just tune on 4K. And I'll be checking that out. But yeah, so everyone was there because they cared about what they were talking about. They were passionate about it, and they had a deep knowledge, right? And when I would do the DVD reviews, I would watch freaking all the extras. I'd have it a lot of the stuff like commentary just play in the background while I was working on other shit, because I love to listen to DVD commentary. But Kevin, that guy is incredibly technically knowledgeable, more than he gives himself credit for. Because I think he cares more about being funny than being serious. Although I watched some of the new Attack of the Show G4 stuff, and I mean the guy knows his shit. I mean, same thing with Adam. But I think the real shift, G4 then kind of became G4. I think sort of 2008 was sort of a sweet spot, because Olivia came on in 2006-ish. There was after Sarah Lane left, and then G4 wasn't G4 on day one. It had to grow and evolve. And 2008 was the sweet spot where it was just holy shit. And I remember when I went to Gavin Purcell, this producer who hired me, who later on went on to produce the Jimmy Fallon show for Lorne Michaels. Jimmy Fallon was a huge fan of Attack of the Show, and he was a guest a couple of times. I met him, and he poached Gavin, from Attack of the Show to go do the Jimmy Fallon show. Anyways, so I remember in July of 2005, I said to Gavin, I said, look, I don't know if I can do DVD Tuesday on Tuesday. Can we pre-tape it? He goes, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con. And Gavin says to me, he looks at me, he goes, is that a convention for comedians? And I was like, no, it's fucking San Diego Comic-Con. You've been, right?
Yeah, I always went 1 year when I was there. Yeah, I went 1 year. That's all I really needed. It was shitty when I went, to be honest.
Well, I've been going since, I think the first time I went was 89 when I first moved to LA. And it was a fucking tiny, small thing at a college. And it was just comics. Then in the 90s, it started blowing up. 2007 is when Comic-Con really blew up. But so that year, 2005, Gavin's like, oh, well, maybe I'll go down with a crew and check it out. So he went down with a remote crew and just Kevin, and they shot segments. And after, he's like, dude, this thing we should really do something huge here. This is big. So in the following years, they did this live thing. And if you've been to San Diego Comic-Con, anyone in the chat, oh my God, look at all the things that are being canceled in the chat.
Yes.
You got to talk to the
Everything being
mods.
deleted. Sorry, the
Yeah.
rogue mods. I don't know what to say. G4 mods up in the house.
But yeah, that was really like the height of it. And I remember like all the female talent they had to have. I mean, they were stars. Freaking Blair Butler, Sarah Underwood, Olivia Munn. They had to have security walk. The guys, they didn't give a shit. Like we just walk around and be like, hey, and of course I'd take pictures with people. And I was just happy that people liked what I did. It was like, this is great. I mean, I still do that because I've been going to cons it's just sort of in my blood. Like I love the energy of being at a con, waiting in line for fucking forever to get into something. And then you make friends with everybody in line, but you've also argued and debated about, what was the best Daredevil run, which is the Frank Miller one where Kingpin finds out his identity. If I can just answer that question. Anyways, so yeah, that was the height. Like that was, and I think everyone was kind of surprised at the success, when you're being like recognized. I mean, it was the thing that like I made the least money in television on G4, but it was the most satisfying because I got to be myself and, within reason, even get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, there's shit that Kevin got away with, and he would they would try to produce Kevin. And that was the great thing about both Kevin and Olivia. They would try to produce them, but all those bits went through them. And they would, if anything, they would elevate something or escalate it to go like, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like when they were doing shots of hot sauce and Olivia thought, well, I'm just going to take a couple. I mean, like, from what I remember, like, Kevin was at Olivia's place and they were both on the toilet, like all like that night. I mean, it really, you drink basically a whole thing of hot sauce. So those bits were like, it got to the point where from my observation, remember I'm coming in a couple times a week because I did other things. I did like junket coverage, which was kind of cringe sometimes. I did like red carpet a couple times, which is the cleaning toilets of being on television. I fucking hate it. But look, they're paying me. I got to go there and talk to whoever. I only did it a couple times. And I don't mind the junkets because I would always throw like in some weird fucked up question that was sort of off script just to have fun. But Kevin and Olivia, like you could suggest stuff to them. You couldn't exactly tell them what to do unless they really wanted to do that thing. Like Olivia jumping in the pie, all the things that like, when you think of like some of the highlights, and I'm watching this stuff as I'm working on the doc and I'm like, none of this could be done now.
Yeah.
I mean, they had like Olivia's panty pile. There was, this was it was really liberating and free. The bits that they would do, everyone had a sense of humor about themselves. I mean, they murdered me once on the show and they actually show like someone come in and like shoot me in the head. And then the whole mystery of the show is like, who killed Chris Gore, which was kind of funny. But it was like everyone was up for whatever because everyone has a sense of humor about themselves. And the thing that has really concerned me about a shift in the culture is a profound lack of sense of humor. And I don't even trust anyone. I don't think I can be friends with someone that doesn't have a sense of humor about themselves. You take yourself too seriously, we're not going to be friends for very long. And I've learned early on to have just sort of certain litmus tests. And that's what I've always admired about you. I mean, you're mocked and made fun of so much on FNT, but you take it so well and you dish it back out and it's awesome. I think that's what's so great about you. That's why it's like, if I see like the quartering as a 20-minute video and you have a 4-minute video on Alec Baldwin, I tend to watch yours because I know I'm going to get the bullet points in 4 minutes and you're in, you're out.
No pun intended on the bullet point there from Alec Baldwin.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean it that way, but yeah.
But yeah, and you're right. Like this in the internet or even just in normal fucking life, if you're going to be dishing out, if you're going to be talking shit to your buddies, they're going to give it back. That's part of what it is. If we're just hanging out, chances are that like 80% of our conversation is going to revolve around taking the piss out of someone or something. Exactly. Like that's who people are. That's how we've been for literally probably thousands of years. That's never going to change. But there are some people that want that to change. And those happen to be some of the people that are hosting G4 shows right now.
Again, I think I said this on FNT last night. When I think of like Star Wars, I think of Han, Luke, and Leia. When I think of Star Trek, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. When I think of G4, I think of Adam, Morgan, Kevin, and Olivia. So I don't know why exactly Morgan and Olivia aren't. I mean, Olivia, I can guess she's dealing with some personal stuff. She's, maybe was out of their price range. I don't know, but I think people were expecting. This is the thing. I mean, G4, it's just tomorrow will be 2 months that they've been around. They launched on November 16th. It'll be 2 months, and I'm not sure that they made that transition. And then, not to toot my own horn, but I do have my own fans. And so does Allison Hayslip and Sarah Underwood and Zach Selwyn and a lot of us. I'm surprised that they didn't have, I mean, what they could do is just bring us all on like Disney Star Wars and kill us off every episode, bring on someone from the old G4 and then just have them murdered in a really incredibly disrespectful way. But I mean, I think actually you could do that really funny actually, but yeah, it is a little, I think people, so there's old school fans of G4 that remember that era like yourself. And like, that's what their expectation is. It's going to be politically incorrect. It's going to go places. It's not going to give a fuck. It's going to be a friend to the audience. And I think that, I mean, the one thing that G4 was one of the first, and they actually won an Emmy for this. I know this because I have the footage in the doc. They won an Emmy for the Twitter wall. They were like one of the first TV shows to actually have like, and they would have, I mean, this is like 2008, 2007. Like they had this TV wall and they would filter the tweets, right? No language, but they had people that were always there and they would go to the Twitter wall and interact with the audience. Yeah. And I think they're missing a huge opportunity, right? Like, I don't know if I know, look, the culture has shifted. But has it shifted in a mainstream way? I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, I come from indie film, right? That's what I love, right? But you look at my channel and we cover indie film. We're closing in on 25,000 subscribers, folks. If you go to the Film Threat YouTube channel, just look up Film Threat, 25,000. But why is my channel not popular? Because indie films, and it's not that indie films aren't popular. The audience is this. That's the audience for indie film. And I know that. I know my lane, right? Indie films, small movies, the stuff we cover, like Ouija Shark and weird small like indie movies that play Sundance, they're this small. But the problem is what we've seen is the themes often explored in these small movies that appeal to a small and dedicated, passionate audience. They've now leaked into mainstream movies and people don't want that. Mainstream audiences, it's not resonating. And I think we've seen it, right? Look at the 355 bombed. Look at Spider-Man's success, and I'm very excited. The same director for Spider-Man, John Watts, Spider-Man No Way Home, directing the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
There was a rumor last night about John Krasinski being cast. I think he's good casting. Also, by the way, Reed Richards is older, by the way. In the comic books, he has gray temples in the first issue.
I think that the John Krasinski rumor that's out there right now, it wouldn't surprise me because I personally think that they're probably going to learn the wrong lesson. Just like G4 learned the wrong lesson from how they eventually ended. I think that Disney's going to learn the wrong lesson from Spider-Man No Way Home. And they're just going to fill shit with cameos as opposed to actually understanding why people cared about some of these cameos and the way that they were used. For sure. Yeah. And you have this Attack of the Doc documentary coming out that highlights the rise and fall of specifically Attack of the Show, but also, I mean, as Attack of the Show went, G4 went. That's really what we saw. So when are you expecting that to come out?
We're doing a first public screening in April, and we will have tickets on sale. We are going to do a screening. I want to do it. I don't want any of this jab card bullshit. So I want to do it at a venue. I might even do it at a drive-in, right?
Oh yeah.
So we're going to do a screening in April. This is actually news. I'm announcing this now. I'm doing a screening in April. It's going to be late April on the 20th anniversary of G4. We're going to do a screening. It'll be the first public screening of the doc. It's for our Kickstarter backers, and I am going to release tickets for sale. So if you want to, and it's just a movie ticket, right? So I don't know if anyone from Attack of the Show will show up. We'll see. But that's when we're going to do the first screening publicly, and then the movie will be out in July on Blu-ray and video on demand and all that stuff. So that's the plan. So I'm hoping we do maybe another screening at San Diego Comic-Con. We'll do a screening down there also for maybe Kickstarter backers that aren't able to make the April screening. And then we're going to, you know, you can just buy it on demand. So, and then I'm working on a couple other movies that it's still too early to talk about now. And oddly enough, an animated show that I pitched years ago that I think is, I'll have to tell you about it one of these days. I think that you guys might like it, but yeah, no, I'm kind of shifting into, you know, I've always had like, you know, my job and Film Thread is like my day job. You know, I own that. It's a website that supports the indie film community. We're supported by the community, but then I make films on the side, right? So, but I always have opinions about things. So that's why I appreciate FNT. I mean, I think I told Gary like before, I don't know when he asked me to be on, I was really nervous the first time, but like
I remember because I think I had you on my stream because I was like, why don't you come on mine like with like 800 or 1,000 people instead of like going on FNT with like 6 or 7 at the time, whatever we were pulling.
Well, yeah, it was just like FNT. I think I started, it was like maybe 2017, 2018. I started watching it. And it was the first time, Gary, I remember in 2018, he used the term politically bigoted, political bigotry. And I'd never heard those terms put together before. And that's when I started to notice like, hey, I have different opinions than people I watch who talk about pop culture. Why would I hate them? Why would I try to shut them down? Why would I try to like, you know, the people that you've been attacked by? And I couldn't believe it. And it was like the quartering I was watching then. I'm like, what is, you know, what is all this bullshit with these channels where I don't have to agree with everything you say or Jeremy or whatever. It's just like, oh, cool. I want to hear a different take. I like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't see it that way. And that's when I really started to see the divide in fandom. And I started to see like this sort of, you know, elements that were like, what, like coming from a place I'd never seen before. To me, fandom was always just about talking about your passions and you disagree and then you go see movies and whatever. It was always like a, you know, like I'd never seen this thing of trying to shut people down. And I had I think it was 2015 when I really started to notice like when they tried to cancel a panel that I did at WonderCon. This is quick weird story, but so I would do this panel with a bunch of different people, comedians and these girls from, I forget their podcast. It was like Geek Detectives. What we would do is we would take fanfic that we found on the internet. The truth is we didn't actually find it on the internet. We wrote it.
So it would be extremely cringe or funny or whatever. Yeah.
Incredibly cringe. So prequels. I mean, I should send you some of the stuff. It's like fanfic where basically like Yoda, you know, fucking Padme and like, you know, like I wrote one called Jurassic Pratt where all of the characters that Chris Pratt played in movies get together and talk. It's like, it's all implied. It's not graphic, right? It's not graphic at all, but it's all like implied and it's so over the top. It's stupid and ridiculous. So the panel's called Fanfic Theater, and I would get friends of mine who are comedians, right? My friend Tommy Bechtold, who's like a recurring guy on like the Kimmel show. He's like one of these actors that does bits. He like wore a Slave Leia outfit one time when Harrison Ford was on. He's also a really big dude. He's a heavy dude. My other friend Yoshi Obayashi, who's a Korean comedian, and I get my and also I would get Adrienne Curry. I don't know if you know who she is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Adrienne Curry, I met her. It's so weird. I know a lot of people that work in the adult space, but I met them all at comic conventions, like a lot. Anyways, but yeah. So Adrienne Curry, like I just met her at like I think I met her at Star Wars Celebration years ago. We just became friends. So we would do panels together. So I get them together and they would read the fanfic and act it out. And it was ridiculous. Then we would always bring up an audience member to read it too. And they'd like take a certain part and you didn't know what you were reading. Right. So you'd be handed the script and like, oh no. And it's funny. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. It's over the top. I did it at Dragon Con to like, I mean, it always would pull in a bunch of pack people. Well, the description of the panel leaked on Tumblr somehow. And over the weekend, like it might have been a total of 100 people. And by 100, it might have been like 40 that like were on multiple
10
accounts.
people starting fucking 10 email accounts to try to get you guys canceled.
Exactly. So they were trying to cancel me. They were trying to get the panel canceled, and it worked. And I couldn't fucking believe it. The one thing you never do is don't bow to the mob, right? Like, fuck you, you know? So it actually, the story actually made the Hollywood Reporter. It was in it. If you look up, I mean, you could probably do some keywords and find the article, but it was in I had to freaking get interviewed by the Hollywood Reporter, David Glanzer, who's the head of PR for WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con. Anyways, you could probably look up Fanfic Theater 2015, WonderCon, panel canceled, whatever. Anyway, so we ended up canceling the panel, but I said, well, we have this panel slot. It was the first time in history they'd ever canceled a panel based on crowd feedback, which I think was a bad precedent. I think that's just bad. So what we did was like, we came up, I said, look, how about this? We'll talk about channeling your creativity or whatever. Yeah. That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've even got like a bunch of the people that are calling you to kind of get your heads out of your asses and stop biting the hand that feeds you, are mocking fan fiction authors. Oh my God.
Well, the one woman who was heading it up showed up to the panel and live tweeted the panel. And oh my God, I want to say this as politely as possible. She looks exactly what you think she would look like. Does that tell you anything?
Look at this. This person still exists.
Yeah.
Please tweet WonderCon and tell them having a panel mocking fanfic is hurtful, especially to fangirls. Like we need to feel more hated on.
Well, the thing is, she misunderstood. The whole idea is that we wrote this fanfic. It was written by the people putting on the panel. Though the Defective Geeks was the other podcast. I don't want to drag them into this. They're the ones that I was doing the panel with, and they were like, and I would bring my friends who are comedians. We'd all read it. It was just fun. It was like a celebration, right? And it just surprised me. Like, why are you trying to shut it down? Like, there's a lot of things that I go to comic conventions. Like, I don't like that. I'm not going to attend that. I don't care. But never does the thought cross my mind to try to stop it from happening. Right? Never. Yeah. Do I think about, well, I want to ruin their fun. They're doing a panel about something I could give two shits about. Let them do it. I appreciate people's passions for weird shit. I mean, if I ever get my room set up in a better way, you'll see some of the weird shit I've got around in my space where I record here. But like, because I really admire like Gary's setup, your setup. It's all like Comics Division has like this really cool lighting. But yeah, like that was the first time I had a brush with this cancel culture shit. And I was like, and I told the people at WonderCon, I said, don't do it. I said, the panel's a celebration of fanfic. It has a sense of humor. There are comedians that are there. So the woman shows up and she got in this yelling match with Adrian Curry. I wonder if I recorded it. She got in this huge shouting match and John Schnepp was there. And we sort of like, it's like an improv thing. You ask people in the audience for keywords, right? And then he wrote a piece of fanfic that we read at the end as like proof. So over the course of the 50 minutes, the audience suggested things and John's like sitting there, John Schnepp, and he like wrote a piece of fanfic that we all read aloud at the end. It's like, it sounds like she's not really experienced with going to conventions and dealing with humans one-on-one, face-to-face, people interaction.
Yeah.
So I think Tumblr is just an incredibly toxic place to begin with. I mean, worse than Twitter from what I've never really been active on Tumblr. I think we have a film threat Tumblr and I had one for myself years ago. But
the problem is the people from Tumblr migrated to Twitter. That's I think is the real problem. And you talk about everybody having fun and how G4 used to be about that. I think this is pretty much the opposite of having fun right here.
Right. Yeah.
Sexism in gaming.
And then obviously those three words are always a great way to talk to your audience. Sexism in gaming. And I don't know if you saw this part, Chris. We've seen this Frost video a million times. I know everyone's seen it. she's going on a rant about how everybody that worked at G4 was hot and bangable, and she's really mad that everyone in the chat, you know, says that we want them back, that I'm not bangable enough for you. But look at the response someone has. Thank you for convincing me to never watch your show. She responds, good. And I think that is everybody can make mistakes, right? She could have gone on this rant, which might have been written for her. She could go on this rant and say some terrible things. And you know what? She could maybe apologize a day later, realize it missed the mark. I wasn't talking to my whole audience, whatever, and could probably salvage some stuff. They are just continuing to double and triple and quadruple down with this and saying, if you don't like this, if you don't like me, if you don't agree with me, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think that, having seen this several times now, and there was Lorena was talking about on her live stream that the rumor was, oh, wait, is that?
That's Chrissy. All she has to do is grow her hair out and buy a push-up bra. She would be more bangable if that happened.
Oh my God. Do you know how much? A friend of mine texted me this morning and said, Chrissy Mayer is a national treasure. This is a friend of mine who works in comedy in San Diego. And he'd never really been aware of Chrissy, watched FNT last night and saw that imitation was, it was, oh God, she was so good. Chrissy,
that was spot on.
Really, really.
The tone and the like the way that Frost speaks, it was just all perfect. The cadence, that's what I'm looking for. The cadence was on point. So Chrissy, that was one of her best ones yet, for sure.
She was on fire last night. It was great. And I want to say also, there are 2,800 people watching live right now. Just wanted to say thank you to all of you. Smash that like button so Ryan doesn't have to say that. Smash that like button, share this video, and this is a place where you can come and comment, and you can tell me to go F myself. I don't care. You can tell me you don't agree with my opinions. That's cool.
That's true. Shang-Chi's in the chat. Shang-Chi is not happy with me. If you guys been looking at Shang-Chi, he's not happy with me right now, which isn't a surprise.
Well,
but that's just the way it is.
Hail chat. Thank you. But yeah, no, I feel I watching this now, having seen it a couple times, and Lorena was saying that there's a rumor that Adam wrote this or was involved in writing this because he's one of the producers on X-Play. So he would definitely have seen it probably before she said it. But I see it as like, having watched it a couple times, several things can be true at once. Are people shitty in chat and say things that are inappropriate and cross lines? Yeah.
Yes.
And that should be discouraged. Right? Discouraged. But at the same time, look, attractive people, that is our lizard brains respond to that. Our lizard brains respond to it. It's just the way we're wired. We can't help it. What I feel bad about is she's talking about the guys. What about the girls that were attracted to Olivia and Sarah and the other people that were on the network? There were women that were attracted. Is that like, I just think that several things can be true at one time. And I think that she kind of was, she's sort of telling from her perspective. And I think it got very personal for her. And I know you disagree with me, which is totally cool. Like, I just feel like I felt for her. I felt empathy for, like, she's really in pain. Chrissy pointed out that it looked like she was going to break down and cry a couple times. Like, this clearly has affected her. Maybe it's something that she's had to experience in other shows. So my heart goes out to her. Like, I have a daughter. I don't want her to be treated poorly online, but my daughter plays video games. She's never, she talks shit. She talks shit. My daughter. I don't know. Maybe I had something to do with that, but she doesn't, I hope she doesn't let that affect her. We all get that, but I really did feel for her. But I think that they didn't think about so early in this stage, like what the repercussions could be. Now that it's blown up beyond pop culture media, where freaking The Hill and Kim Iverson is talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's weird. Or Lauren Chen mostly she doesn't cover pop culture that often, but Lauren Chen is covering it. You know?
She's definitely got it a lot more. She also has a channel specifically for like movie reviews and stuff like that. So, and I love the fact that Lauren's doing more of that stuff
Right.
for sure. But yeah, you're right. It is beyond just the gaming sphere. This is blown up into the entire entertainment industry and even beyond. Even people that are fringe entertainment industry people are talking about this. And to me, you talked about how the other people would feel about Olivia or Morgan, whoever she was referring to. Yeah, multiple things can be right at the same time. I could have wanted to bang Olivia and bang Morgan, right? All these things because they're attractive, but I could also find them entertaining because of their personalities. And that's the thing. There's a ton of hot people everywhere on the internet, on TV. Not everybody likes all of them. Sometimes you despise people that might be incredibly attractive, but there's something about them you don't like, whether it's their personality, whether it's their voice, whether it's their knowledge, like whatever. There's a lot of reasons to not like people. And when you try to make it so binary, it's ironic that someone that looks like that's trying to make things binary. But when you try to break things down to such a binary level, is you don't want to bang me as much as you want to bang them, so that's why you're giving me criticism, is fucking insane. Like, that's completely illogical, and that's why in large part it's getting so much pushback.
It's almost like that comment from AOC about Republicans, you just want to date me. That was just like such a weird non sequitur. But talking about people like Brian Stelter, I can't watch that guy, and I'll tell you exactly why. 100% know why.
You don't want to bang him.
Well, not just that, but also he has the weirdest smile. When you look at his face and he smiles, he looks like someone who's practicing smiling. Whenever you see, look him up, Brian Stelter, Google image Brian Stelter and him smiling. He has the most he looks like someone trying to practice smiling for a job interview, like he's like a manager at Red Lobster. I mean, I think that manager at Red Lobster is probably a better job for Brian Stelter. Come around and ask how the food is. No, it's fucking shit. I'm at Red Lobster. But, I'm not here for food. I'm here for that bread, that cheese that they make.
The cheese biscuits. Bread. Yeah.
Cheese biscuits are the best thing at Red Lobster. It's not even seafood. So yeah, but Brian Stelter, that phony. But I mean, look, I remember when I did the show called IFCs. You can probably find clips on YouTube. I did a show, Ultimate Film Fanatic, for IFC. It was literally American Idol for movie nerds. There's even a segment that's kind of like that show that Jeremy's doing called Bragging Rights. One of the segments on the show, we had like a movie trivia knowledge. Then we had like a debate, and then the last segment on the show was like a game of war, but with movie collectibles. So you had to bring on your best movie collectibles, and like you'd like talk about it in front of a panel. Tracy Lords was on there, Keith David, Henry Rollins. They were like the celebrity panelists that were the judges, and I was the host, which was kind of a miserable experience because it was a game show. I had to go to like game show camp and stuff. It was weird, but one of the things, because I was friends with one of the executives there, they said that we did a pilot and they focus tested it. And he said that they always ask about the host and the likability. And he said that the comments they got about me were, I like that guy. He's an asshole. So I'll take it.
Perfect.
I'm an asshole.
That's perfect. I haven't played this yet for anybody. I don't think a ton of people have actually seen too much of this, but I wanted to play it. And this is like one of the reasons why I don't think this was just about someone that really took the comments so personally or whatever. I think like this is just who she is. This is from Frost and an interview that she did with looks like Renee Montgomery, who I believe is a WNBA basketball player. This is a month or two ago. It's about a minute long.
So my whole thing is like, my industry is like both and most industries, hyper male dominated. Sure. It is to be really nice about it, a bastion of not super nice people sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong, gaming gets a really bad rap. It can be an incredible community, but it also can be one of the most vile, disgusting communities you've ever seen. And so people will say with like a snide face that like, I'm too polarizing, that I'm too outspoken, that if I just kept my mouth quiet, that I would have been much more successful, that if I didn't let politics get in the way. But I really stand behind everything that I say, because I never think that, like, I'm fine in like changing my opinion and always like going and trying to educate myself, but I really pride myself on like, I fucking hate injustice. I hate it. It enrages me, and it then gets me into a lot of trouble when I work in an industry that is full of injustices.
It sounds like she's never met a black person, is what it sounds like to me. And a couple things. It also sounds like, I mean, it sounds like also she is only cares about herself. She sounds kind of narcissistic, and she's only looking at it like, look, your job is to serve an audience. And if you don't care about the audience, which she clearly does not, I'm really surprised that, I mean, is this before she was hired? Like, I don't know. It just seems very strange.
So she got hired actually very soon after she had a different big controversy where she was accusing people in, you know, League of Legends European Championship of internal toxicity and sexism and stuff like that. They couldn't come to an agreement. She left there to go to G4. And then on the way out, make some comment about how the broadcast teams are way too white, like blindingly white, stuff like that. Like, she hates injustice or injustice, as she calls it.
God,
so like that's who she is.
Murder. I don't like it. Murder is bad. Oh
yes.
my God. What a first of all, what a safe fucking thing to say. And she's parroting stuff that everybody says. Nobody fucking cares. If you really fucking hate it, go volunteer at a food bank and you know, and serve homeless people food, right? Why don't you do that? Talking about it doesn't do shit. Tweeting doesn't do fucking shit. Actually doing something does something. So if she really fucking cares, get out there and do something. My other thing is and not to come to her defense, but I will say this: G4 wasn't built in a day. I said the sweet spot of G4 was 2008. They're only 2 months in. But if you're 2 months in and this is the reaction you're getting, something's not working. If you've now turned on your audience this early and you've allowed agenda to trump entertainment, which is, we're so used to it these days. It's like, well, I'm just not going to watch that. You know, I haven't seen the new Boba Fett show. I've only seen stills, but George Molo did a really good review of the first episode that kind of made me want to see it. So I'm sure I'll check it out at some point. But like
options, though, you're right. The options, and when you hit the nail on the head when you came in here and started talking about it, they have taken the same template that they used for when it was a TV channel and tried to bring it to YouTube. And that's about the worst way you could approach it right now with so many people in the YouTube space. There are so many different things that people can be watching at any point in time. And one of the reasons they may be watching is because they don't like TV anymore. You know, they've cut the cord. They're tired of that thing, but you're trying to do TV like that. And when you're doing TV, you know what? You don't have a chat sitting there in front of you. You don't have this immediate reaction. But when you do have a chat there, that they're immediately censoring and blocking and banning people over nothing, the lightest amount of criticism possible, that's not a good look for fans who feel like they aren't being listened to. And it's incredibly easy for them to fucking go away, which is what they've had done. They've lost 4,000 subscribers in the past 2 or 3 days. Which isn't a ton, but when you don't have a lot of activity on your channel to begin with, it's pretty significant.
Well, it's that interview I see is kind of virtue signaling bullshit is what it says to me. And also someone who's, you know, I will say this, I have a very diverse group of friends. There's only one thing they all have in common. We have a fucking sense of humor about ourselves. And that's something that, like, I can't be friends with someone who doesn't have a sense of humor about themselves, because if I can't talk shit, and this is male, female, all across the spectrum, doesn't freaking matter. You better have a sense of humor about yourself, because at some point you're going to get it, or you're going to give it to me, and I probably deserve it, which is totally cool. But like, yeah, I mean, that interview, I would almost, and also it sounds like there's a hint there of seems like she has a chip on her shoulder about men.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
Right
So
there.
shockingly, a month after that interview, this happens. She finds people that are criticizing her over something real, right? Not knowing that BioWare is owned by EA and not been bought up by Microsoft, not understanding the current sales numbers in terms of PlayStation and Xbox, saying that Xbox has all these exclusives coming up in 2022 where PlayStation has nothing, not acknowledging the fact that we know a lot of the exclusives that PlayStation has coming up. You could argue about the merits of those, whatever,
right.
But she was ignorant of it. And it didn't seem like it was scripted. It seemed like it was off the cuff, which is why people criticized her. She decided to blame it all on sexism, which is absolutely fucking bullshit.
Well, I think it was scripted for the most part. She ad-libbed some words. That interview, though, was her talking off the top of her head. The way I look at that is I look forward to a day when Black people can brag about that they have a white friend. I have a white friend. I'm not racist.
That's right. I'll be Young Ripper's white friend.
All my Black friends, I have several Black friends who say that the most insufferable thing are these extremely liberal white friends that really have to kind of like perform and say, hey, I just want to let you know, not racist. And it's like, if you have to do that and you can't just relate to someone as a person, right? You can't just relate to someone as another human being. Like, I don't give a fuck like what a lot of people, I don't even know what their background is. Like when I've hired people in Film Thread in the past, I had a guy who worked for me. His last name was Haddad. He was Muslim. I didn't give a fuck. It's like, you're here to work as an intern at Film Threat. But it actually came into play because we were flying to the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. And his name got flagged because that last name is on like a watch list. So it became a thing that every time we went we'd always have to get there early because like, oh, you got to go through the actual pre-check. Like, we would just make jokes about it. So, yeah, my friend Zach, really great guy, who I still talk to. He's, well, I can't really say where he works. I'll tell you later, Ryan.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting stuff. But no, it's just, I look at that and that just seems it's like such virtue signaling. And so like all the stuff that's like kind of cringe. And I have like, yeah, I see things like that play out. It's embarrassing to me. It's freaking embarrassing. So, yeah. Wow, the chat is on fire. 3,300 people.
Yeah, the chat's on. I think this is probably a record for my channel. I don't really know. I'd have to imagine probably. But thank you guys. I want to get to some of these super chats. You guys are dropping bombs here. John Bartolo is blowing it up. I know you know John and seen him, Chris, and we went out there to Vegas. John's a great fucking dude. Has a great podcast. Is the next Joe Rogan. If you don't know John Bartolo, you need to subscribe now. But John, for $50, says, I can relate a hole. There you go. John Bartolo. Yes, he can relate to liking an asshole. John's from Boston. So if you're not an asshole in Boston, no one has any respect for you, I would imagine.
Right.
But thank you, John. And then it's a couple more. For $5 says, but is it hyper male dominated? I feel like that's a line. Maybe. Is the gaming industry hyper male dominated? I think that there's no doubt the vast majority of people that play video games and watch video game content are still male. Like, that's just the truth. They try to spin the numbers by using phone games and stuff like that. Nobody's watching YouTube videos on Candy Crush, or at least I don't think so. At least not the audience that G4 is kind of going for. It's still hyper male dominated. So I think it's true.
But why is that a negative thing?
It's not.
Why aren't there more female plumbers? Why aren't there women in sanitation? I see my garbage men every week. Not enough diversity in sanitation industry. It's just the thing that annoys me about this stuff is the just profound lack of a sense of humor. And if I don't know, like Gary mentioned it yesterday on FNT, he said there needs to be a Blazing Saddles like comedy mocking wokeness. We've seen it like the last time. You can look up, don't play this, but you can look it up later. Woke Jeans, which was a bit with Ryan Gosling. It was the one and only time they made fun of wokeness on SNL. Probably the last time that show was funny. And I feel like if you look like the stuff that like Kyle Dunnigan is doing, that stuff. I don't know if you ever saw, did you see Time Canceller? That was another video that they did.
I haven't seen Time Canceller yet. No.
Oh, it's sort of like that a Fresh Prez of DC.
Oh.
Time Canceller is you haven't seen it? Oh,
I don't
dude.
think so. I love Kyle. Kyle did an Alec Baldwin bit the other day that was just fucking spot on. Holy shit. But this is a great point from Cthulhu Loves You. It isn't in terms of the industry anymore, as far as male dominated. That is correct. More females hired in the last few years, and the message is always the same. And there are many who aren't real gamers. I agree with that. And the percentage of who aren't real gamers, whatever. But it's true that a small percentage of people have forced the game industry as a whole, whether it's in development, whether it's in the media, to hire more women so that they don't look bad. And right. I think inherently you are getting some people that aren't as in touch as they should be. And that's a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
John, for another $10, if anything, her space has been female dominated, just not dominated by her kind of female, says John. Then for $20 says man hater is clear. Good way to alienate the dominant voices. Probably not good business. Definitely not good business. And then for another $10, John says, ask Jordan Peterson. Men and women are naturally drawn to certain professions. Thank you for all. That's like $100 combined, John Bartolo. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll even get the Gary clap in. Look at that. Look at that. But I agree. And you brought the point up, Chris. People are drawn to different things. That's just the way the world is. That doesn't mean that there can't be women that are in the sanitation industry. There are. That doesn't mean that there's not maybe a couple women working oil rigs or whatever it may be. Yeah. But the vast majority aren't, and it's not really a problem. It only becomes a problem when a very small minority of people decide that they've made it a problem and they're offended by it for some reason. And then they come into that space and want to change everything, regardless of whether it's good for that space or not.
Yeah, I agree. I just think we're almost... A lot of these things, no one cares anymore. I would say for the most part, people don't care. And a lot of victimhood is manufactured because there's some currency in that these days. And it's just, that's not going to gain you an audience. I really just think at the end of the day, it's not going to gain you an audience to play that card. I think that there are different ways to get the result that you want. I mean, I always go back to, this sounds really... I brought it up a bunch of times. Luke Skywalker never canceled Darth Vader. Darth Vader was the bad guy, also happened to be his father. Luke should have, in a normal story, should have killed Darth Vader, murdered him, and vanquished his enemy. But he turned him to the good side. I mean, it was sort of in a messy way involving lightning from another board, but we won't get into that. But my point is that you don't win hearts and minds by alienating people that think differently from you. She could have handled that in a way that would have actually made the people that are making inappropriate comments think, I don't want to do that because I like her. I like her and I don't want to. I mean, I can't think, like, having hung around like Blair and Olivia at different events, from whether it was like CES, E3 or ComicCon in San Diego, it was unbelievable the amount of fan love. I mean, Olivia went out of her way to have meetups at Comic-Con. She even did it after she left G4. She happened to be down in San Diego during Comic-Con and did a meetup with fans after she had left G4. So I really admired her for that. Like, wow, she was incredibly gracious. So, and I'm sure people have a lot of stories of they've met her and that she was cool and took photos. So, I mean, some of these stories are in the doc, but like, that is a whole skill unto itself, is just dealing with your audience. If you don't like your audience, what are you doing? If you don't like your audience, I feel like there's something wrong with yourself. You have a problem with yourself, right? It's a reflection. And and how you act towards the audience matters. It matters a lot. So I think this is a huge miscalculation on the part of G4. And look, I might get some shit from this, from people I know that are there, people I know, just for saying this, but like it's objectively true. This has cost them. It's cost them certainly in credibility and audience. And now I don't know how you walk that back. I don't know how you. I mean, it's like the toothpaste is out of the tube. How do you fix it? I don't know. And you can't a cast shakeup if certain people are not connecting. I know that some of the new people, are really liked. I watched that guy, what's his name, Kasim. I think he's pretty entertaining. He has the second best hair of anyone that's ever been on G4. Because
other than who?
That would be me. That would be me. That Kasim is the second best. But I like, so I mean, I don't know if they're looking to do some sort of cast shakeup, if that's sort of in the thought process, like let's see who connects with the audience and who doesn't, and then go from there. But
you know what the problem with that is now, Chris? That's impossible for them to do, because if they like got rid of her right now, it would go full nuclear from her and her side of things. And like, look, you had someone call out your audience for being sexist and you enabled that toxic behavior. Like that's what the narrative would turn into. I don't think they can survive that either. For me at this point, I think,
but wait, can I just say, not the first time someone has been taken off of a TV show over outrage. Not the first time, right? Gina Carano, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to make that point.
Oh, you're 1,000% right. And I think they would have every right to do so. But what I'm saying is for G4 and the way that they've obviously built this thing going forward, their mindset wouldn't allow them to do that because they would be too scared of that group of people. They're not scared of the people who they're silencing right now. They're scared of them talking, but they're not scared of any action they might take because they're doing everything they can to ignore them and say, fuck you. Right. Whereas if you ignore the woke group of people, then the press comes on from different spaces. Then you have blue check marks and the gaming journalists. Because right now, the games media is very supportive of Frosk and very supportive of her calling out this toxic behavior, regardless of how much it hurts G4. That's where their mindset is, other than the fans, which is part of the problem. I think they had two choices. They could have actually addressed it, and they could have clarified things and moved forward from there. That part is kind of gone now. I don't think you can do that at this point and seem genuine. Right now, I think the phase they're in now is they have to completely ignore it, but they have to allow people to speak. So they need to open up the chat. They need to open up their subreddit. They need to open up their Discord. They need to open up everything and allow fans to voice their opinions without being censored, but they can't stoop to the level of engaging on Twitter or making passive-aggressive remarks like Adam Sessler and like Frosk has been doing. That's kind of the stage, I think, for them in terms of this disaster, Well,
I think what G4 needs right now is for Alec Baldwin to kill somebody at this point. I think is the only like these things sort of dust up, right? And then they're endured and then they're kind of forgotten. But in a lot of cases, the damage is done. Alec Baldwin's never going to make another movie. Jack Murphy, whatever that guy's doing, I don't know what the fallout. I remember when that happened and it was shocking. I mean, I was watching You Are Here live when that stuff come up. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know any, it's just like, oh, he's a guy, like I saw him getting some, some fights, polite fights with Tim Pool. And I thought that like, oh, well, he had a really interesting point about his boys and them playing sports. And I thought that was a really interesting debate to have. Right. Like, but I didn't know anything really about him. And that thing happened. It's like, holy shit. I mean, that went down a thing like, although Sydney Watson's now selling heartfelt shirts, right? Like that's
people may have disagreed or people may have thought, oh, you got a bad take on this. Nobody thought this dude was shoving dildos up his ass while jerking off on Chatterbait. Nobody thought it would come to that. But speaking of, when Jack Murphy comes up, we have to talk about D-Day Cobra. Jeremy with a $50 super chat says less than 3K subs to 100K. Support RK Outpost. Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate that. I'm chasing Jeremy down now. He pulled ahead of me, got to 100K. We're chasing him back. So thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, we're getting close, and we got 3,000 people watching right now. If you guys are new to the channel, think about subscribing. I'd appreciate that. I also see that umbrella guy in chat. What's up, Tug? Good to see that umbrella guy here. But I'm going to try to get through these super chats because a lot of them are addressed to you, Chris.
All right, sure.
So
the Raiders game is on, and well, it's on at 1:30, but it's just going to be, it's just, it's going to be that pregame bullshit.
Oh yeah. We'll get, if you want, I can get the ones that are addressed to you, and then you can bounce, and I can get the rest if that works.
I'll stick around. I love talking to people in the chat, and it's
perfect. Unlike G4, Chris is part of old G4, not new G4. So
yeah, well, we'll see. I might have ended some friendships for good now. Who knows?
Hey, it is the way it is. I have a feeling that they probably don't consider you a friend. If that's all it takes, they probably don't consider you a friend now anyway. You know what I mean?
I feel for them at this point. Like, I want it to succeed. I think everybody wanted it to succeed. You wanted it to. The problem is they're using the playbook from 2005. And it's not the same. I mean, I've seen some of the comedy bits, and I can just tell watching some of the new talent, it's like, they're not comfortable doing that because that's not what they do. Olivia was an actress, right? Like she could pull off bits that on the page was like, well, this isn't very funny. And she would freaking elevate it and run with it. And I'm just not seeing that. So anyways.
There you go. And I got someone in chat saying, I'm the guy who gave you shit about the Matrix 4 content. See, we can disagree on singular topic, but I still support you. I appreciate that, Super Dimensional. And when you have a YouTube channel, I've now talked about expanded universe. I've talked about Disney, Star Wars. I've talked about Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I've talked about Marvel, DC, video games, like whatever. You get, like, you start talking about so much shit, you can never agree wholeheartedly with everyone. Chris doesn't agree with me on everything.
Of course.
But yeah, that's what it's about, is just having the discussions for sure.
Yeah.
Ron Cook for $5. Frosk, or whatever her name is, means frog in Icelandic. Pepe memes right now. Some young guy for $5. Of course, the chat is on fire. Ryan, you and everyone else on FNT are pretty much the future of entertainment. Hail to the fellowship. All hail, Ryan. Thank you very much, some young guy. I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Bird Up for $2 says super chat deleted. Again, G4 mods, they're in the building. So I do apologize if that happens. Brickman Andy becomes a channel member. Thank you very much, Brickman Andy. Galaxy Express Media for $20. Machine Gun Karen officially killed new G4 in one 4-minute rant about Whammon hatred. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here.
I think that you're right. They're just going to ignore it. It's just going to be business as usual, game reviews, games coverage, comedy bits. They're just going to ignore it. But it's, I feel like the original G4 was so in touch with the zeitgeist that wasn't even there yet, right? Like G4's trajectory was right as like Iron Man. The first Iron Man came out. Marvel was getting big. Like I remember when I first started, they're still being embarrassed to be a nerd. I've got like 6 long boxes of comics. Half of them are Batman, but like in the time that I started there, and then like through around like 2008, 2009, like it became cool to be a nerd. That was not true previous to that. So hail to the chat and everyone that everyone watching this. So thank you.
Yeah. And that was like, when it comes to like the hot chicks that were on there, that was a big part of it. Cause I feel like people were able to see someone like Kevin, someone like you that were on there interacting with people and realizing that, look, these guys are nerds, these guys are whatever. And people enjoyed seeing that shit. Oh man, not exactly the same at new G4. Zach Weber for $5 says, we miss you, Chris.
Oh, thanks.
We actually, there's a couple comments about this, and I know Echo Base Network sent a super chat. I'll get to it. Echo Base Network, good guys over there. They specifically asked, and I don't know, what if you want to talk about it or not. Were you ever contacted about this G4 reunion here, or this relaunch of G4 from anybody there?
Well, it kind of ruins something in the doc, but if you just keep it between us, yeah, I was contacted originally to be a part of the reunion show, and other colleagues of mine were like, they did some sort of other segment, I guess, that was just after the reunion show, where they had like videos from like Allison Hayslip and Zach Selwyn, but I was not included. But I was initially contacted by Blair Herder, and I don't know. Now, this was, by the way, this was like, you know, the height of, you know, all the paranoia about, you know, the coof and all that stuff. And I think they shot it. It was like, this was like, God, like fall of 2020. So, you know, there was, and the excuse was given, well, COVID, right? That was the excuse. I mean, at the time, the vaccine wasn't even out yet, right? Hadn't rolled out. So I was not included to be a part of it, but was told to hold on for potential future shenanigans. I haven't heard anything since.
Well, there's definitely shenanigans going on there. You might be glad you didn't get involved at this point. But
well, I know, like, and maybe we'll talk about it on Tuesday. I know I can be a divisive figure in the sense that I have my own opinions. Now, my opinions are about, you know, movie stuff or, you know, pop culture stuff or, you know, things. I don't really care about gossip. Like, I don't do gossip or news. Like, I don't feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff. When I say gossip, like the love lives of people, I don't care. Right. Like that just doesn't interest me at all.
Britney Spears drama.
Britney Spears, like, oh God, Britney. When I see Britney Spears, I do not watch any of that. I'm told that there's big drama with her. I don't care at all. But if there's drama that affects my industry, obviously something like this, something like Gina Carano, that's concerning to me, right? So that I'm interested in. But yeah, I know, like at G4, like I almost got let go a couple times from some very specific issues that came up. And maybe we can talk about it on Tuesday night, because these stories are entertaining. So
for sure. Yeah. If you guys didn't know, Chris is going to be on Tuesday night's main event on the Geeks and Gamers channel, which is awesome. Myself, Jeremy, Young Ripa, and a variety of other people, some who are involved with Geeks and Gamers, some who aren't, are going to be on there, which is fucking fantastic. And Chris is going to join us. I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty big stream. I don't know if this G4 stuff's going to really let off. So we'll see what happens.
By then, I mean, it's usually these things. I mean, the Jack Murphy thing lasted longer than expected. The Alec Baldwin thing isn't done. I mean, that story's not done. It's one of those things that will come up whenever he makes like a Kevin Spacey like video now. That weird one he did in his car with the Splenda thing. What is he? What is he?
Well, and there was like some, holy fuck, actually, I don't know if somebody sent me, I don't remember if someone sent me this stuff or not. I saw like a weird ass fucking, some weird pictures of him where he like drew pictures of him being dead or something.
And he was comparing what happened to him to January 6th. It was very strange. But it's back to this thing, like with the video that you showed, you know, that I'd never seen, where she's talking to the WNBA player. Like, you know, you have to, and you know about this. You know about this. Jeremy knows about this. I don't know if Jeremy's still watching, but really appreciate his tweet at me last night. I responded. That was very, very kind of him. But you know, you know, you have to earn your audience. You earn the audience's trust. You earn the audience's respect. I feel like it's important to respect the audience, even when you disagree. And if you've really earned that audience's trust, even when they don't like a take or disagree with you, they'll be there. They'll be there in the chat. And I think that that's something that I think is even more important now, is to earn that audience, because we're seeing all the legacy media kind of crumble. The old way of doing things, it's kind of like, I mean, I never really liked that kind of sitcom that was like, has the fake laugh track, like Big Bang Theory. I could never watch that show. I always found that show cringe. I'm more of a guy that liked The Office, both the BBC version and the NBC version. The Office is great. It's a different kind of, and I kind of feel like this is a sea change in entertainment, right? You're seeing people what do they want? Authenticity. What else do they want? Engagement. What else do they want? Maybe longer, more nuanced conversations where you can't just sort of drop a mic with some dumb tweet or meme, although I actually personally love memes, but like some mic drop tweet is not enough. That's not enough. Let's have a longer, nuanced conversation about a topic so we can go deeper layers. That's what I think people crave, because, you know, your typical MSNBC, CNN, even Fox, like 4 or 5 minute segment about a topic, the topic's not resolved, right? Not as if we're going to resolve anything in our conversation going on 90 minutes now. Like that is what people are responding to. You just have to look at the numbers. The thing that is concerning, should most concern G4, is the numbers on the videos. The numbers on the videos, they're not blown up. I mean, I know they've got almost 500,000 subscribers, but those are like, look, I've got like I've got over 150 followers on Twitter, but most of those I don't get a lot of engagement because most of those people followed me when I was on G4 originally.
Exactly.
And they're probably not on Twitter anymore. So I know for a fact that I get engagement as something like I tweeted about Reed Richards and Fantastic Four, hence the shirt. But I think the rules of the game have changed. And I think that, at least what I know, the corporate environment is not responsive to the kind of creativity it takes to be, say, where you are, Ryan, where Joe Rogan is, where other people that are individual creators, the quartering. Is he 1 million on YouTube now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like 1.16 or something.
And, you know, what I've always admired about Jeremy and the quartering is this guy he takes deep cuts, right? Like he'll look at, like, we're looking at Social Blade right now.
Yeah, you know? This is Social Blade. The reason that I wanted to talk about it is because, like, yes. So G4 has 500,000 subscribers, right? 500,000 basically. They've lost 4,000 subs. That might not seem a lot to a lot of people. That might not seem like a lot. But you have to remember that this channel wasn't doing anything for a long time, right? Like for the longest amount of time, it wasn't doing anything. No one was subscribing. It wasn't until they said, hey guys, G4 is coming back, just so you know. Then you have this big boost, right? When they did that reunion show, you know, 39,000, 40,000, 11,000 here, 12,000 here. When they actually then fully announced, hey, we're going to do it, 38,000, 33,000. And then, of course, they actually came back 40,000 subscribers in November. In reality, like, they're a channel that probably has 100 to 150 maybe subscribers who are actually there for the shit they're doing now. And that's being generous. So the fact that 4,000 people actively unsubscribed is a big deal, because they don't have this huge audience that their sub number would indicate. I am getting far more views per month than they are. You know, and that's saying something, especially considering the amount of money that they're putting into that.
Wait, is that My Nerdy Home in the private chat?
Yeah, we've got Steph. Yeah, Steph's in the back room. She's producing the show for us here.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna say hi to her. Hello, Steph. Good to chat with you.
There you go. And yeah, Jeremy is still in the chat. Jeremy's still watching. We are, like I said earlier, we are doing the main event with Chris Gore on Tuesday on the Geeks and Gamers channel. Steph, make sure you drop a link to Geeks and Gamers if you haven't already. That's going to be phenomenal. And one of the reasons I wanted Chris to get on here was to be more full length, because we had so many people on FNT, which is what makes FNT fucking awesome, is all the different voices.
That was an epic show last night. And Chrissy Mayr's rant. What's funny is that video was clipped before the show is over. It was clipped and uploaded. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
On Gary's other channel or something?
I think he had Perry clip it, I think.
Oh, my God.
It was perfect.
Yeah, I was really hoping for an original Perry Chan. Like, I think that stuff happened so late. He might have not had an opportunity to edit a video from the beginning, because that would have been so good. But that thing that Chrissy Mayr did, that was just.
I had no idea that was going to happen. Like, we heard that Chrissy was like going to be a little late because she was like, oh, she's got to get her makeup on. I was like, okay. So I assumed like she was going to do something. I had no idea it was going to be that. Like, no, I actually thought it was going to be Nancy Pelosi with the crazy eyebrows that we saw.
Right.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
I mean, she nailed it. And like when you did like the side-by-side comparison, I couldn't believe it. But like, you know, that's the thing that like, it's hard to like, I mean, God, this is a weird comparison, but, and I know Kevin Smith is not exactly in good favor with anybody, but I've been watching him for years. When he would do San Diego Comic-Con, he'd always do a panel. He would make fat jokes about himself before anybody could. He'd make fat jokes. He was very self-deprecating humor. And it's always like I think it's endearing to the audience. That's why, I mean, setting aside recent events, previous to that, he's a guy that, you know, was able to have a sense of humor about himself. But more and more I'm seeing like this weird derangement. I don't know if it has to do with the last couple years, whether it's, you know, Sessler's comments that about Republicans that I think are maybe not the wisest thing to do, or like just happened today. I don't know if you noticed, Tim Heidecker is kind of going off. I'm seeing this happen with this weird, where like celebrities are going off, where like it's this meanness that is completely unnecessary. Like you didn't need to tweet that, you know?
It's out of the blue shit. You know, like it'd be one thing if I guess if a bunch of like prominent people in the Republican Party were like coming after Adam Sessler or something, then it would like make sense. But it's very much just out of the blue, which is why it's strange to so many people.
Yeah, it just seems like so like out of character. That's why it's like, I think there is I feel like, look, what's happened the last couple of years has affected people differently across all levels, right? Some in very traumatic ways. For myself, I feel very fortunate. I've been inconvenienced, but for the most part, I'm fine. You know, it sucks not to see certain family members or be able to travel. I used to travel a lot. I mean, I drive places, but, and also like, I know you're talking about going to the Star Wars hotel at some point, which would be,
I'm not. People like you are.
You have to go, but I don't want to go there if I have to wear a mask. It totally takes you out of it, right? Like, even if it could be some experience that's like, although I loved every one of your videos that came out talking about that.
Well, and I think like we actually, I think Jeremy talked about this at one point. We had somebody who was willing to donate the money to get me to go, like legitimately. I think that we were like $5,000. We don't want to put that money in Disney's pocket. You know what I mean? Like with everything they've done, even if I could sit there and roast it, even if I could fucking bitch about it and shit on it, it's just like, that's so much money to put, you know, directly into the pocket of Disney. We couldn't justify anything like that. Plus, probably I'd end up getting kicked out anyway. And you probably couldn't record in a bunch of spots. So we said, fuck that.
Yeah, what I heard was, this was on Drunk 3PO's channel. He talked about that you're not going to be able to, like, if you want photos, they'll have photographers and sort of photo ops for you to get your photo taken, and then you get those pictures, but you're not supposed to be able to go around. But you could record every night in your hotel room. You could do little secret bathroom, well, maybe not in the bathroom, but you know what I mean? Like, you could do little videos. You could grab some secret pics here and there. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do it. I just think that, like, because I know what's going to happen. We've seen this before with Galaxy's Edge, right? There's that Disney travel press that's just going to overpraise it, you know, and I follow some of those channels, but then I have like this filter where I'm like, okay, they gave it 5 out of 5, whatever. It's probably a 3 or a 2.5, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's why, like, hearing your honest take about it would be freaking amazing. And just being able to do like some videos from the hotel, even if it's just in your room, would be so funny. God, like, and I know it's like, I was even looking at the pricing. If you can get 4 people in one room, you split that, it's just a little over $1,000 a piece. I feel like maybe the chat thing, come on, you got to go to the Star Wars. You need to go to the Star Wars Space Hotel.
Jesus. The chat's saying, fuck, don't give that money to Disney. I think that's what the consensus is. But real quick, John with another $10 says, well said, Chris Gore, earned my follow. Next time you're in Vegas, look me up. I would love to see Chris on the John Bartolo show next time you're in Vegas.
Well, I know he has an amazing set. I've seen the set before. It looks incredible. John, I will take you up on it and I'll follow you back. Thank you so much for giving Ryan $10.
There you go. That's the way it works right there. Thank you, John. Appreciate it, buddy. DS for 5. Have you heard about how Frost torpedoed LEC's deal with Neon? Yes, that was back when she was working with LEC. So League European Champions,
Right.
League European Championship. She refused to work until like they ended their partnership. So I don't actually know a ton of the details behind it, but I do know that happened. And that was before she ended up parting ways and going to G4. She has been a problem everywhere. Everywhere.
I don't know. That's making those kinds of demands when your name isn't Olivia Munn is probably not the smartest when you haven't really earned your place. I mean, I certainly look, I knew when I got hired by G4, I can put, look, I felt fortunate I could put some of myself and my opinions in there. My opinions were my honest opinions about DVDs. You may not always agree with me. That's cool. We can have that conversation. But I wasn't going around feeling so entitled that I could make demands on the show or the personnel. I had faith in the producers that they had hired the best people. So it's I don't know how far that will get you to make those kinds of demands. But as you pointed out earlier, she's in this position now where, if they were to do a staff shakeup, because I could see them going, maybe some of this cast isn't landing. Maybe we want to, do some kind of shakeup. I mean, there were shakeups in the early, 2005 to 2008. There were a lot of changes at G4. I happen to know I was there for it. Luckily I survived all the way until the very end. I think I was just sort of below the radar. And also G4 was a side gig for me. I mean, I was doing Film Thread on the side. I wrote and produced a movie at the time called My Big Fat Independent Movie. So, and I did other TV gigs because I had a non-exclusive arrangement, but I always had the most fun at G4, the one that was the most gratifying. And I liked everybody there because I'd go in the office and you could talk to anybody like, oh my God, did you see the new, the Chris Nolan this or whatever? Oh, Marvel. I remember I met Robert Downey Jr. on the day that he got cast as Iron Man. I was doing a junket for this movie. What was it called? Richard Linklater directed it, and it was called Scanner Darkly. And I interviewed Keanu Reeves and Richard Linklater I've known since the 80s. As a filmmaker, because he made a movie called Slacker, the original Slacker. And so I met he and Keanu. Was the only time I met Keanu. And Richard was telling Keanu about Film Threat and what an influence the magazine was. Then I was so embarrassed. Then I thought, I only have 4 minutes to talk to them. So I better quick. And then I met Robert Downey Jr. And I congratulated him. It came out in the trades that day as I was doing the junket. And I was like, congratulations, you're playing Tony Stark. I said, you're perfect for it. You've got the look, this is so awesome. Congrats. And he's like, I remember this quote. RDJ said, I'm just excited to be in a movie my kids can watch. So,
wow.
So yeah, it was cool. And he was so cool. What's interesting in my experience in entertainment, here's what I will say. I met a lot of people at all levels. Okay. And the majority of the people I've met at the highest levels are some of the coolest people I've ever met. They're very chill. They're very comfortable where they are. There's not a lot of anxiety or insecurity. The people that are the most difficult and irritating and annoying are usually the people at sort of the bottom or the middle. And I call them climbers, right? And they're climbers that are always sort of fighting to get to that next climbers and users. And I've met a lot of people like that. You'd be surprised. It's the people at the lowest and sort of mid-level that are fucking annoying as shit. And then, you meet someone like Keanu. And also, if you know anything about Keanu's personal life and what that guy has endured in his personal life, look that up. There's videos about it. I don't want to go out.
Everyone he's lost to cancer and everything like that. It's awful. The guy's been through a lot for sure.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. And I think that he has a real amazing perspective in life. That's why I think he's so well, regarded.
For sure. Let's get through some more of these. I don't want to keep Chris too long. I didn't know that we were going to have this fucking type of reaction. For those of you guys that like to watch these replays and everything, this is going to get unlisted at the end, but it will be re-uploaded over on RK Outpost Live. So make sure you follow that channel. I'll put it up there in its entirety so you can see the entire thing, because I know a lot of people like to skip in and out. I'm going to get all the super chats real quick from John Bartolo for another $50. Chris, what are your thoughts on how long these experiments go before an entity like G4 says our ideals are costing us too much of our following?
That's a really good question. I'll say this. I know that like my experience with G4 got very corporate at the end. And I feel like it's probably even more corporate now. So they're being pulled in many directions. I'm not even sure how much the audience factors into it in terms of the audience numbers that they're pulling in, because I know that mostly it seems as if the plan is to gear it more towards esports more than anything is where they're going. I think where they will really lose ground is, one, if the audience numbers aren't pulling in, that's an issue. And two, it's going to be sponsor deals, right? And you don't really see a lot of big sponsor deals from them currently, not a lot of big ones. I know like towards the end at G4, they were getting some bigger sponsor deals. I know sometimes this is the one thing they would come to me and say, they would ask like, hey, what's your review of this movie? Did you like it? And I'm like, no, I fucking hate it. It's a piece of shit. They'd say, well, we have a sponsor deal, so don't review. They wouldn't tell me not to have my opinion. They would just bump the review to the following week, so it wouldn't, butt up against the sponsor deal. Yeah. But I watched the quartering video on this, and he was trying to add up like the money. He was estimating like, no, they're spending a lot more money. No one's getting paid. No one in executive level is getting paid no 50 grand. They're in the six figures, probably 150, 200 up in there. The talent, the A-list talent, Kevin and Adam, they're getting paid a healthy sum. That studio is an amazing new studio. I watched their opening day of it. Their costs are far and above what Quartering's estimates were. If he wants to reach out to me, I've chatted with him before. I can maybe offer some perspective, but that's the thing, is what's your burn rate, right? With any business, what's the burn rate? Have they planned for burn rate for 2 years? Unfortunately, they've been dealt some bad hands, right? With COVID and stuff. They're originally supposed to open their offices much sooner. They were going to launch. The launch kept getting delayed and delayed. You still got people on contract. You're still paying people like executives and whatnot. So you're burning through money, right? So their pathway to profitability is much further down the road. So if the audience is important to them, if they see something, I don't know, like this is why I look at, like, if you're looking at YouTube as like a random sample, look at all the other pop culture shows that cover the same space. They all do better numbers. And they really need to look at that. I mean, the things pulling in the biggest numbers are when Adam does a review, right? Adam is still like, Adam's X-Play reviews are consistently the best rated or the best thing on those channels. Right,
sure.
Right. It gets the most numbers. So I think if there's going to be a change, it's going to happen in 6 months. And what Ryan pointed out earlier about they're going to ignore it. Yeah, they're going to ignore it. And if they make some staffing shakeup, it's going to happen probably before they go on some sort of break. That's what always happens. People get fired at breaks. So whatever their programming calendar is, if they go to reruns at a certain point, I know that the concept is to be like a CNN or MSNBC. So it's 24/7, like live or fake live entertainment. But if they're going to do a shakeup, it's probably going to be before July. That would be my guess. So
there you go. Release the McCracken says G&G greater than G4. Appreciate that. Listen, G4 is gained about or lost about 4,000 subscribers. Geeks and Gamers has gained about 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. So everybody's welcome over there. What we're trying to do at Geeks and Gamers, I think, is going to resonate a lot better with everyone else than what G4 is doing. And that's the way we've built it. It's where we're going to continue to operate with Geeks and Gamers, which is fucking awesome.
Well, it's succeeding, and I think it's only getting, especially like, you know, people like Chrissy Mayer now in the space, and you have like other voices. I mean, you know, I watch also your Sports Wars and stuff. I watch, you know, the Odin's box office. You know, it's great. It's great stuff. And obviously people are responding. So,
hell yeah, man.
Hail to the chat again. Thank you so much.
Fuck yeah. It's fucking crazy. The chat's been insane. Galaxy Express Media becomes a channel member. Thank you very much. Jens Jurgensen for 50 Danish krones. Let me get this straight. When we criticize Frost, it's only because she's a woman and never because she could be wrong. Jesus, the arrogance. And that has resulted in what we've seen now. You're right, Jens. Emotionally unstable amphibian for £2. Hey, Chris, thanks for getting me into Get Set Go.
Ah, did you discover there's a song that they did called I Love Your Vagina? Great band. That band is awesome. I know they're on Spotify.
The shirt that you tell the story about.
I wore shirts. I Heart Your Vagina, and I wore it because it was Valentine's Day and it had a heart on it. And it was also my friend's band. So yeah, really cool. They did and someone asked in the chat also, is it Film Courage or Film Threat? I actually do videos for Film Courage. So you can just look up Chris Gore Film Courage, but also Film Threat is my channel, but it also represents other people on my channel like Alan Ing, and we cover film festivals. My channel is not all about me. I interview filmmakers on my channel is what I mostly do. And occasionally I'll like do a live stream where I talk about a movie, but I actually prefer to be on other people's YouTube shows, which is weird, but I hope you'll support Film Threat and whatnot. It's you know, Film Threat is our focus. We're staying in our lane. It's indie film. That's our lane. That's what we do. And in that space, we're like one of the top 3 media outlets, if not the number 1 that covers independent film. Film Courage is about, if you want to be a filmmaker, you're an aspiring filmmaker, subscribe to Film Courage. They've got a lot of great videos about screenwriting, film producing, fundraising, storytelling. Great YouTube channel for filmmakers and creators.
Yeah. And I think we should, for the record, I believe your video on Film Courage has more views than the G4 reunion video that you weren't included in, right?
I think it has, I don't know, 1.7 million views, maybe twice that of the reunion show.
Jesus. So, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I always think if I was on it, like what I would say, but I would say things to fuck with people, which is not a scripted thing, which is not like a produced thing, you know? I mean, I watched it, it was okay, but it like, I felt it was, again, like with a lot of things now, just felt a little overproduced. I wanted to see frickin' Kevin unleashed, Olivia unleashed.
All the behind the scenes pictures, they're all fucking wearing their masks and shit. Like behind the scenes because of the COVID rules. It's like, even just with that, even just seeing that, it feels like a Hollywood stage thing. You know?
And then a year later, they launched the network. I think it was like they were just dealt a lot of bad hands. And I think like give them time too. Like I remember back those early days when I look at like the episodes of G4 I did in 2005. And if you look at a 2005 or 2004 episode, it wasn't what you remember. It got good around 2008 with Olivia and everybody else. That's when it was like, oh, it's starting to gel and turn into something. Right. So I would say give it a chance or check in with it later. I feel sad more than anything. I just feel sad about it because, you know, I really do care about all the people there, and I want it to succeed. I don't think any of us wanted it to fail.
I was hoping it'd be great. Like I really was, you know, but by the end of G4, they were like, I feel like they canceled a lot of the shows that a lot of their core audience was there for to begin with. Right. And they ended up doubling down on like Cops reruns and Ninja Warrior and stuff like that. That although, yeah, the shows would be cool for like, oh, a random 1 hour block. It's like, that's what they decided to make it about. And I was hoping that they were bringing this back because they had wanted to realign with what the core fan base wanted. That's obviously not the case anymore, which sucks. Cool video for $10. Love you, Ryan. Love you, Chris. Get well soon and keep up the great work, guys. Also, Ryan, thank you for your service in the U.S. Navy. I work retail and always thank veterans when they visit the store. Well, thank you very much. Cool video. I appreciate that very much, my friends. Thank you very much. Spy for $5. Chris Gore, hell yeah. Made friends in college thanks to the movies you suggested. Oh, Ryan's here too, I guess. Thank you,
Thanks.
Spy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joe Musashi for $5. One of my favorite shows from G4 was Street Fury. They showed the hottest cars and hot women in bikinis. They will never bring that show back.
Yeah, it's weird, the sort of desexualization of everything these days. It's like, are we, you understand that humans still watch television and go to the movies, and the desexualization of everything. That was my biggest complaint about The Force Awakens. I remember complaining to friends like, it just lacked romance. It had no romance. And the original Star Wars had that sort of, love triangle, right? I mean, it was very sort of childlike and it was simple. But, the reason Luke Skywalker wants to get off the farm is because he's got a crush on a princess. He's hot for Princess Leia. Right?
Hot for sister.
Hot for sister, which we didn't find out till later, but that's fine. But there's something romantic about that. And I remember Force Awakens, there's a lot of problems with that movie. That's the movie that I freaking hate more than we can have a debate. I do not like that movie. I like it less than The Last Jedi. Fuck J.J. Abrams. He destroyed Star Wars. Fuck that guy. But the lack of romance and not even having a plan, it just we're going to talk about this for a long time, obviously, but not having something romantic. People respond to that. We are men and women are human. Beefcake made the Marvel universe. Shirtless men. If you go to the Film Threat YouTube channel, just look up Topless Avengers. We did 2 videos that are montages of every topless scene of a guy taking their shirt off in a Marvel movie. But it was to make the point of that men were sexualized. Men were sexualized. And so what? That I think that there are today so many female Marvel fans because of that. There are a lot of male and female fans of G4 because there were sexy women on G4. It is a fact of life, and if you cannot run away from that. That's lizard brain. That's how humans work. To try to deny that is fucking stupid.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be necessarily it doesn't always have to be Leia in a bikini, in a metal bikini, right? That obviously definitely sexualized. You can't argue that. But for, in Empire and in A New Hope, you do have romantic things there. You have a kiss between Han and Leia. You have actually a kiss between Leia and Luke as well. But it's not like that's the story. It's a part of the story, and it's, a part of what's going on. But yeah, they went out of their way to make sure in Force Awakens, there's no chance of that. Finn tries to hold her hand while they run. She fucking slaps it away because that's how little they want any of that potential romantic involvement, which is why everything felt so weird when she kissed Kylo Ren at the end of Rise of Skywalker, because they did everything they could to not have that be a part of these series. Right. It's weird. Star Wars is terrible. Now it is. Son Goku for $5. I think Chris is the only person left I still like from G4. I think a lot of people may feel that way now. Sandy Q for $20. G4, just another implosion of fakery. When will they learn? Just keep being your authentic selves, Ryan and Chris. That's why we all tune into you. Thank you very much, Sandy. We appreciate hearing that. Jesus Davila for $15. Doesn't say anything, but thank you for the support. Kung Fu Hot Dog for £5. Hey, Ryan, you alpha. Will you do some more pizza vlogs? I fucking love them. Also, where did you get your channel theme music from? Chris Gore is the GOAT. I will do more pizza stuff. I think I have some that I still need to do for my trip. I haven't even posted some of them yet. So I'll do that. And then my channel theme music, I literally just Googled free fucking music. And it's like a trap. It's like free trap song number 055 or something like that. That's all I did. It's not anything special. Wesley Snipes you with a member chat. What's your favorite cheese? Haha, never stop sending it, my guy. Chris, sorry about your doc. RIP G4. I think it'll actually have more interest in it now. That's what I think.
Well, it certainly is going to change a little bit. I mean, I had to change it obviously because of the coof. We had literally just wrapped up our Kickstarter. We delivered rewards, like we did patches and we did crew jackets for people. And then we were all set. We had the studio set up to do interviews, and we opened it in March, and we finished our first interview. And then you know what happened in March of 2020. So we had to shut down the studio. We got rid of it to save money. And then just, I don't know, like we just had to completely do a different approach. But I'm really excited about a lot of the things that are going to be in the doc. And I think it's going to remind people of why they love the channel. It's also going to be, there's a lot of historical perspective and things that you'll learn, that stuff that I didn't know that are kind of shocking and amazing. So I'm excited in April for people to see it. Yeah.
There you go. Marcelo Cantu for 10. Do you think G4 will backtrack and try to rebrand, firing MG, Karen, and Adam Hypocrite Sessler once they divide and conquer, realize the situation is very bad? No, the only thing they have going for them is the G4 brand. So they're not going to rebrand at all.
They're not going to rebrand. I mean, that's the name is sort of what is the glue holding it together. So I don't know.
Yep.
See.
Larry Herzog for 5. It's all contrived, trying to emulate their former success without the authenticity. Obviously, they don't value their audience and bring no value. Thank you, Larry. Scott Woodford for 5. Is Adam the father of Olivia's baby? I don't think so. Somehow I doubt it.
Isn't that the comedian John Mulaney? Is that who
I think so.
Yeah. Again, I'm not a gossip person.
That's actually has been in the news like very recently. Yeah. It was trending along with Olivia Munn when all this stuff blew up, in fact.
Right.
Because some of those stories broke similar times. Yellow Flash 2 for $2. Message deleted. I don't know what happened, Yellow Flash. I'm sorry, message deleted. G4 mods, what can you say? Philip Trevor for Aussie $5. Absolutely loved watching X play in the past. Adam's reviews of the Xbox Connect, legendary, where he's the bad guy from Silence of the Lambs. So funny. I love the X play reviews. I loved Adam's and I love Morgan's. And guess what? I don't want to fuck Adam Sessler, right? But I still liked his reviews, and I liked Morgan's reviews. Funny how that can happen.
She knows her stuff. Morgan's amazing.
She is, and she's completely disconnected with this as well, which she's like in game development and stuff. I know she went to Blizzard like in the immediate aftermath of G4. I'm not quite sure what she's doing now or where she's at, but yeah, Morgan's awesome. Mike Likes Tacos is a channel member for 3 months. Also, message got deleted. I don't know what happened. What happened, Mike? Yellow Flash 2 for $5 says Olivia Munn is still hot. Abso-fucking-lutely. Olivia is still hot. It helped her a lot in her career, and she took full advantage of that, as you should. Balshazar for 5. It bummed me out so much. Back in the day, I only had 2 channels I watched, History and G4. Yeah, History Channel was big back in that time era too. That's when like you started having like the Gator people, the Swamp people, and like Axemen and all that shit was getting big on History. Yeah. Philip Trevor for Aussie 5. Thank you so much, Chris, for your horror movie reviews. I collect horror movies, and every review you did, I looked on Amazon to buy. Thank you, Chris.
Sweet. Thank you.
Just Nova for 5. I left for the Marines by 04 and enjoyed the fun of G4 and Morgan Webb's brain and beauty. It's sad G4 will now be known as an activist-only show.
Yeah, it's interesting. They used to do stuff with the military too. Like they would play Xbox. They play Halo with guys overseas, right? Like guys stationed overseas. It was great. So there was a connection with that. I don't see that they're going to be doing all that much now. But that was a cool partnership.
Yeah, for sure. And not as many people are doing that now as they used to, for sure, in general, not just G4. Connor Akers for 5. My favorite G4 show is the original Japanese version of Ninja Warrior. Brings back good memories. There you go, Connor. Mil Spec Mom for Canadian 10. Women quoted, right? Quotations. Women like Frost are the human equivalent of a participation award. Capitulating to one group by ostracizing another. Yeah, that'll work wonders for your image. First time viewer, but love Gore. Hell yes. That's awesome. Thank you, Milspec Mom. Thank you for being here. Hope you subscribe to the channel. I think we've probably got a lot of new people today.
Cool.
Steve Frompa for 5. Message deleted. Not sure what happened there. Don't know. Have to ask our mod team. The Grizzly for $10. Social media has made people into their own Communist Party witch hunter. Good boy points for every time you rat your neighbor out to the feds for not being 8 times vaxxed. It's just like East Germany. Thank you, the Grizzly. There's a lot of fucked up shit going on right now for sure.
Oh yeah.
Eminem for 5. MM for 5, not Eminem. Reed is a villain the universe has cast as the hero. Doom is a hero the universe has cast as a villain. Also, Reed is Ochide Agbe. There you go. A little bit of pig Latin for us there. Thank you, MM. David L for 5. Never watched OG G4, so don't really care. I like Chris Gore, so sorry to see something that he helped build go down the drain. Go woke, get flushed. Seems to be the case. Real quick, we're hitting all the super chats in order, but I just saw a massive one from D for Aussie $100. $100 from Australian friends down there. Thank you very much. We have to keep up the pressure on G4. We have to keep calling them out. It's the only way we can make sure these hate mongers are held accountable. I don't have any plans to not talk about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just wonder at a certain point if they're not going to be responsive to the audience. I think they're going to lose the audience, right? I mean, this is just the trajectory of any television program or YouTube channel that fails. You're not responsive, you know. It's going to die off on its own. So, yeah, man, it's for me. It's just sad to watch. Right? Like I was excited and it's sad to watch and I'm sure it'll affect the doc, you know, in some ways. I mean, so we'll see.
I think it'll help it, honestly.
Right.
But like, I really do. I can tell you right now, Chris, that if I had done a stream about G4, about looking back on G4 and what's changed and how this all went down. If I had done this 2 weeks ago, I don't think we'd have 3,000 people watching.
Oh, well,
just saying. Yeah. So I think that it'll have a positive impact. I think a lot of people are going to want to look to remember those days now, especially.
Actually, now I remember somebody told me that they were deleting comments about me during the reunion show because people were asking about me and they were asking about the documentary and all those comments were deleted. I just remember this is like someone, I mean, I, chat on various places with people that keep up with G4 stuff. And that's what they told me. So,
well, I actually might have can show a specific chat from you. Let me see if I can find it here.
I chatted the other day. I was like, they were live and I was just saying hi to everybody. And I felt like people weren't seeing it. And I was just like, oh, well, maybe they don't. I don't know. Whatever. It's you know what? It's someone else's decision. Fine.
Well, let's listen here to Kevin. We played this on Friday Night Tights the other day.
That's explained like I'm 5, I think. I think we accomplished it. Thank you, Alexis, for being so patient and guiding us through this. I know we've been asking for chat questions, and that's a dangerous thing to do in our chat room right now because, 9-year-olds. But, I think we have some actual...
The reason I wanted to play this again is because I remember in this clip where Kevin's shitting on their fans for actual, critiquing G4. Look at this. There's Bruce says, so is Chris Gore going to make an appearance? LMAO. This is after all the meltdown stuff has happened, right? So they're getting a bunch of shit. So I did see your name brought up in the chat.
That's funny. Yeah.
It is funny.
Yeah. Oh God.
It is funny. But I'm sure they've scrubbed a lot of shit in there. A lot. Connor Akers, speaking of, for $2, super chat deleted. Thank you very much, Connor. Blackguard for 25 bucks. My favorite part of Frost Grant is their absolute gall, hubris, and arrogance to shriek to the audience to be nicer and more self-reflective in 2022. Yes, as she's yelling at people about sexism, be nicer, be a nice person. What the fuck? Carnell for 10. I was introduced to Chris Gore back in 08 on G4 and instantly became one of my favorite personalities, along with Allison Haslip and Kevin Pereira. Chris always came across as true and authentic on TV.
Thank you.
Agreed.
And yes, to address, this hair is real. This is real. Someone asked, like, I got my first silver hair when I was 19, and it just sort of taken its sweet time. It does look weird under certain lighting, but yeah.
It's like your personality. Like it made you stand out.
By the way, also I woke up and you were like, "Hey, can you let's do a stream?" And I'm like, "Sure." Look, I woke up. This is what I was wearing when I went to bed. So this is what you get. This is what you get.
That's how we do it. No prep work required. All right. No prep work here, Frosk. We just fucking do it. We don't need anybody to write our shit for us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Zex 4 for $5. More people watching this stream than a modern G4 stream. And it's really not even close. Thank you, Zex. Archie Pelego for 5. Bless you all. G4 sucks. G&G is awesome. I'm going to say is awesome because it's like a smiling heart face, a couple emojis. Thank you very much, Archie. That's fucking incredible. Listen, if you tuned into G4 to actually hear shit about video games or entertainment or whatever and not be lectured to, go to Geeks and Gamers. Subscribe to Geeks and Gamers. That's what I would recommend. Versified for 2. Surprised no one mentioned Layla Kaylee. She's hot. There's a lot of hot people that work for G4.
And a great accent.
Mm-hmm. Word for $2. Nobody cares. Work harder. I think that was in reference to when we were playing Frosk's interview there. So thank you very much, Word. Echo Base Network for $10. My girl was Kristen Adams. She seemed like a sweet, down-to-earth girl and not too over the top. Any stories about her, Chris? Also, were you ever asked to come back to the new G4, which we talked about earlier? Thank you, Echo Base.
They were going to have me part of the reunion show that was canceled at the last minute, but then they said, we might involve you in some shenanigans. That was like a year and a half ago. So who knows? As for Kristen Adams, total pro, awesome to work with. So great. Funny story about her is that her then boyfriend, which she ended up marrying, was Peyton Manning's stand-in whenever he would do a commercials. He had the same, like if you saw her boyfriend from the back, you'd go, holy shit, it's Peyton Manning, except it wasn't Peyton Manning. So he was the stand-in for Peyton Manning for every TV commercial, every spot. They do a thing where they have a stand-in that kind of looks like the actor, and they would do like, they pre-light it. They have the same wardrobe. They get then the actor comes in, Peyton Manning comes in, and he's there for like 30 minutes. He's in and out, but they block everything with the stand-in, and that's Kristen Adams' husband. Damn,
that's pretty interesting, actually. That is an interesting. You asked for an interesting story, you got one. Peyton Manning from behind.
Yeah. You Cowboy like from the front too. It was just like, you could be like Peyton Manning's brother. Not quite Eli but yeah, kind of like
Cooper. Cowboy shit for 2. Brian Stelter looks like Varys, but with even less balls. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Nashville Prime for 5. Chris, I used to love the new movie show way back in the day. Awesome to see you in the FNT community. Love you, bro.
Thank you. That was my first big experience with television at FX. I did just a weekly movie review show. I think it lasted it was under a year, but that was fun. I was kind of just figuring out TV. I actually kind of figured out that I didn't really like doing TV that much. And it wasn't until I got to G4 where I can actually just be myself, kind of like we are right now, right? Like we're just being our whatever, our authentic opinions, so yeah, thank you for that comment.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Where is that? Archie Pelego for 2. I won't stand for this injustice. Basically. And then your way into losing 4,000 subs.
Look, that kind of shit is easy to say. But I think, if you really want, fucking do something. I was watching the movie that I watched the other day. I couldn't believe it. You could never make this movie again. Team America.
Fuck yeah.
there's this great, I mean, you know, the movie from 2004, holy shit, that movie holds up. But there's a 1-minute part near the end of the movie where they have all the Hollywood celebrities around this like council table. It was the Film Actors Guild, right? Which is just so great.
Yes.
Right?
Not SAG, but FAG, the Film Actors Guild. Who was in charge of that? Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. Okay, you got to go back and watch Team America now. Like, I know you can find it. It is even more relevant now. There's this sequence, and it's sort of a one-off thing where like they're having this sort of round table, and there's like Janine Garofalo and all these like quote celebrities of the Film Actors Guild. They're saying, well, we just sort of see opinions that we read, that we notice on the news, and just repeat them to other people. Like, it's just, I'm hearing this, I'm going like, holy shit, this is the reason people can't stand celebrities now. Like those guys, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, so ahead of the curve. And a lot of their other movies too are just so great. I also watched the other day Basketball. Do you remember Basketball?
Oh yeah, that was a long one. That was a long time ago. I like Basketball.
It was so great because obviously they're playing this dumb game of horse with like a basketball that looks like a baseball. But then they've got like every different team had different types of cheerleaders. Right. And like the team from San Francisco had like gay male cheerleaders. And it's just like, oh my God. I'm looking at this going like, like make a comedy like this now. It would resonate so much because all this stuff is in the culture. And there's this fear of people making fun of it. And it needs to be made fun of. Right.
I think that's why, I mean, obviously the same guys that you mentioned are behind Team America, behind South Park, right? And the reason that South Park has been able to remain as relevant as it has for so long is because they're not afraid to go after both sides, is because they realize that everyone deserves to be mocked in one way, shape, or form. And that's what makes it funny. And the fact that so many people in the comedy industry are unwilling to do that right now is why they're so fucking irrelevant. To have comedians that are now essentially just part of the system, that doesn't even make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? So the same thing with artists, with musicians, with all this stuff, who now they're raging for the machine. They are the machine now. And which is why they're losing touch with so many people, why alt technology and alt media and everything is on the rise, because people are looking for something that is truly an alternative to that mainstream stuff.
Yeah.
Where was I? Tej for 100. I don't know what that is, but thank you. I like Injustice, the DC Comics, I mean. Anyways, cheers from India. I think maybe Indian rupee. It's glad to see PC and wokeness destroying most of the things good in life. It is sad to see.
Injustice
sad is a good word, and Injustice is good.
It's also a good video game too.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Injustice 2? Did you play that?
Yes, I did. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, the Supergirl story for sure.
No, I liked it. I don't know. I like it. It's sort of sort of this alternative DC history. I really enjoy it.
The multiverse and alternate timelines gives you so much room to play with and fuck with stuff. I mean, I picked this up not too long ago, from the Metal, where they had all the different versions of Batman, or really Bruce Wayne. So like this was one that like a Green Lantern ring came to Bruce Wayne after he watched what happened to his parents, you know, because he didn't have any fear, shit like that. So like it's fucking cool. And so you have Dawnbreaker, Bruce Wayne with the powers of a Green Lantern.
Wow.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to do shit like that. But I think at this point, people are almost multiversed out with everything that's been going on. So I think that's something that people are going to have to look at going forward.
After Doctor Strange, we'll see. I mean, it's like the rumors are John Krasinski, Reed Richards cameo in that movie. So it should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I think I heard a rumor about a massive cameo that they wouldn't be able to hide. That might be it. Maybe it'll be Wolverine. Who knows? Lake Lock for 5. G4 has been back for 2 months, and one of the hosts already having a meltdown. How does she have a job on the internet? That's all she's ever done is have jobs based on the internet. So Blackguard for 25. Frost's biggest problem is her ideology, which her trumps everything. She isn't interested in talking about gaming, its politics, and identity. Her hatred of gamers and men comes through her shrill demeanor and attitude. Well said. Soul Man for 5. The problem is she's too narcissistic and it's all about herself. She needs to step back and work through her demons. Men are not out to get her. No. A lot of people didn't even know who she was or that G4 was back until this happened. You know?
And again, you have to earn the audience. I mean, she, you know, if you have some empathy for her, then I think that's what, you know, that's what would make her look good on camera, is just to have you care about her and her opinions. And it seems like she's just too focused on herself. That was a great comment.
She even admitted that the other people that are sometimes taken a part of it get more backlash when they do it because it's not Adam, right? But for her, that doesn't mean that it's still not based in sexism. It's like, come the fuck on. Anybody, like, when Kevin left Attack of the Show at one point, right? It didn't matter who they would have replaced him with. It simply didn't fucking matter. It wasn't Kevin. And to that much of the audience, they weren't interested.
Right.
Because it wasn't Kevin, regardless of who you were trying to replace him with. So you do have to earn that. That's the bottom line.
Well, he saw the writing on the wall that the network was kind of winding down, and he left before it ended. So,
yeah. The Old Guard channel member for 6 months says, smash the like fellowship. Yes, thank you, the Old Guard. Project's done poorly for 5. I know you like spicy takes, Ryan. Here's mine. I think manga and anime is bottom tier garbage. SJW stuff is evil. Anime is just bad. Oof. There you go. That is a spicy take, especially on the internet. A lot of people might not like you, and it has nothing to do with how bangable you are. If you go after anime and manga, the weebs will come for you. Thank you. Project's done poorly. Horror Amarada's here. Channel member for 7 months. Some women enjoy being dominated. Seems like the perfect space. There you go. A lot of people looking at you if you're in a male-dominated space. That's for sure. You guys have blown it up. Chris, again, if you need to leave at any point in time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I got to get some breakfast. I literally been here drinking tea, and I hate it as much as you do now. I'm so... Didn't you drink a ton of tea when you were sick?
I drank like a fucking gallon a day. I swear to God. It was disgusting. I do have one more. Brian and Callie.
Sure.
Was Sessler always like triggered and political back in the day?
He was always progressive and always political. They even had a Sessler's soapbox, right? So, and they would let him on X-Play have a voice, and he would express, and he would even weave, like, that's what was really amazing about the original X-Play, is they would weave in to a game review references to literature, references to other pop culture. It wasn't just about video games. It was this whole pop culture knowledge and even politics, but not in an insufferable way, just as an aside. What's new, which is concerning to me, having known, I noticed that he stopped following me on Twitter. I had an exchange with him and asked him, I mean, the doc is really about Attack of the Show, but I said, would you like to be interviewed for the doc? And he turned me down, which is fine. That's completely fine if he wants to do that. But sorry, I gotta get rid of that. But like he you know, what's new is what he's saying now on Twitter, which is this kind of this hatred, right, for Republicans who I just consider, wherever you are on the political aisle, you know, a fellow American. That's the way I look at it. I've kind of always looked at it that way. But what I've seen recently come from him is just really concerning. I don't know if something happened to him on a personal level that changed his mind. Did he have a falling out with a family member? But he's not the only one. I see this. I have friends that like get caught up, and you know them, that sort of TDS where they just don't want to let it go. It's like they want to be angry about something, right? Like, even though, like, I still see people in my neighborhood in Pasadena walking around with masks on outside, and I'm like, but you can eat like outside without a mask. Like, you can even eat indoors without a mask. Like,
but you're walking on the sidewalk randomly with a mask.
The CDC said a long time ago, like they don't want to let it go. And so, yeah, I think the new thing is always political, and that's fine. But like, when you are othering other people, and when you're having language that I consider the language that he said to be hateful language, You know, that's hateful, regardless of what group it's being pointed at, right? So that is new, and it's just sad. It's sad for me to see it.
I think it's different towards like a singular person vice like half of people in America. You know what I mean? Like if I say I fucking hate Joe Biden, right? Or I fucking hate Donald Trump, like all that is one thing. And I think I don't, none of it really bothers me. I wouldn't even say that, it really bugs me because I don't know Sessler person or anything like that. It's sad to fucking see someone that's fallen that way. But when you direct it towards everybody, I wish every Trump supporter would do this. Every Trump supporter is a piece of shit or whatever you're going to label them as. That's
Right.
where it's a really fucking bad thing, especially if you have an audience of any sort. Like if I said every fucking Biden voter, blah, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that G4, the network, with the investment that they have behind this, is appreciative of his tweets. I am fairly certain that he's had to have conversations with people about it. So I'll just leave it at that. But it's like I look at every studio now, and when you look at the Pedro Pascal and Gina Carano situation, when they were treated so differently, both of them having political opinions that diverted. I don't even know if you could say Gina Carano's were necessarily Republican. They were more, I mean, you know, just sort of more of a humanist look at what's happening, the divisiveness, which I refuse to go down that path. I think it's a path to the dark side. I think it's a path to the dark side for this country. And I've said it for years. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid of Tim Pool. Oh, there's going to be another civil war. Not that. I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm sort of like Batman at the end of The Dark Knight with the Joker saying, and here we go. And then neither of the ships blow up. That's where my optimism is, right? That it's like, I don't think that's going to happen. Having said that, I believe it could happen in my lifetime. We could live in the former United States. There could be states that just break off, not necessarily a war in a conventional sense, but more of a legal divorce, so to speak.
Yeah.
I could see that happening, and that's why I refuse to fall into that trap. It was, like I say, in 2018, political bigotry was the phrase that Gary uttered, and I began to notice. Right, I began to notice, because a lot of the stuff that I cover at Film Threat in independent film, it's all very woke. You know, it's all woke, and that's fine because it's a limited audience. That's woke stuff that appeals to this many people. But now wokeness on a mainstream level, it's not mainstream. Those ideas don't translate.
If you're trying to tell a story from your perspective of living as a trans disabled lesbian, you know, and so you make a movie that's geared and targeted towards trans disabled lesbians and you sell 50 copies of that movie to all of them in the world, that's what that's targeted for. When you make that and you make a book for DC Comics or something and you're trying to get this comic book run, then when it fails and people don't buy it, you blame fans for being racist, sexist, bigots. That's when it starts to be a problem.
It's not being accountable for your own storytelling. And the way that I put it is this whole thing of like, there was a photo that trended on Twitter like maybe a week ago. It was for the movie Encanto, and this person, it was like a photo of this like cute kid that looked exactly like one of the characters from the movie. And it was all, it spurred this discussion about identity and this, and how come there aren't more people that look like me? And I think that's fucking lazy. I've always thought that's lazy storytelling. If you're a really good storyteller, I can identify with someone who's not like me. The whole point of storytelling, the entire point of storytelling, whether it's a novel, a comic book, a video game, or a movie, is to basically be in the head of someone else who isn't me. That's why when I played Street Fighter, I always played Chun-Li, because I want to see a hot chick kick some guys' asses. It's a lot of fun. And when I finished Cyberpunk 2077, I picked a female character. Why? I want to watch a hot chick. I just, but I mean, to be serious for a moment, I'm goofing there, but like, just
as a point to Street Fighter and Chun-Li, how crazy is it that, is it Ming Na Wen? Is that her name? How crazy is she looks maybe better now than she did in 1994?
Dude, I met her at I forgot what it was. It was The Disaster Artist. I saw a screening of The Disaster Artist, and she happened to be there because she wanted to see the movie. And yeah, she's smoking. I think she's amazing.
She's 58.
Yeah. But back to storytelling is about, we've all read stories, books, whatever, where you're in the head of someone who isn't you. And this is the thing that people in the woke space or come from that perspective don't seem to understand is make me care about someone. When you vilify all the rest of the audience, they don't want that. Make me care. Make me actually care. It's one of the best books about screenwriting. If you're interested in that, is called Save the Cat. And it's literally about the concept of making a character likable so you identify with them. Ripley in the original Alien movie saves Jonesy the cat. She actually goes back and gets the cat and then goes into the shuttle, right, to get out of there. She saved the cat. In the first Superman movie, 1978, Christopher Reeve, he's coming down and he saves the cat out of the tree. It's that is a concept. It helps you go like, oh, well, that person, that character will help someone, help a cat. They must be a nice person. So I recommend that book if you want to become a screenwriter or write any storytelling. It's a very useful book. But secondly, the people writing this woke stuff don't understand, like, well, I want to write a movie that only appeals to this segment exactly, and then it's a self-insert. That doesn't fucking fly. That doesn't fly. It doesn't work. Make me identify. Tell a story from the perspective of a trans person that makes Ryan identify with that person. If you can pull that off, which would be a feat, because you'd probably never watch a movie like that. But if Ryan could identify, saw this movie, the lead character was trans, I couldn't believe it, I was moved, I was almost in tears at the end, you would never cry at a film like that. But what I'm saying is that's powerful storytelling, is making someone identify with someone who isn't you, and that has been lost. And that's why that article that was read on FNT last night, the one I sent to Gary, where people are finally speaking out on the record, big people, filmmakers, are finally speaking out on the record and saying this is bullshit. You've lost people that have decades of experience, and you're bringing in people, and it's not like you shouldn't have more chairs at the table, right? And include other types of people. That's a good thing. But when you're excluding other perspectives and you're excluding also people that have decades of experience, you're missing a huge opportunity. So that's probably maybe a good rant for me to end on, but
it's a good one. Real quick, you gotta give shout out. I think the Quartering liked that. Quartering's in the chat. I think he liked your rant there, Chris. Absolutely spot on.
There you go. All right. Thank you, Quartering. I've been watching you for some time now. So thank you. Anyways, Ryan, this is great. The chat is great. Thank you to the chat. Everybody that had hail chat. I'll be back on Tuesday night for Tuesday night's main event. I'll be there. Who knows? I might do some other. People keep reaching out to have me do other shows. I don't know. I'm right now. I told Ryan I'm a little under the weather. I think I caught what he has.
Yeah, we spent too much time next to each other in the squares on FNT.
Exactly.
Now we're both fucking sick.
I kept trying to tell Chrissy, I'm like, Chrissy, just I want to hand you a mug. So I want to hand you a drink, because she was drinking. I think she was drinking a Truly, and I was drinking a Truly. And I kept saying in the private chat, I'm like, let me hand it to you. She didn't get it. I'm going to make that happen next time I'm on FNT, whenever that might be. So thank you to everyone. Don't leave, because Ryan's going to be sticking around and reading more of the chats. I want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate all your support, and I'll be back. So thanks again, Ryan.
Thank you for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Later, everybody.
See ya. There you go. Chris Gore. Wanted to have Chris on, obviously, to talk about the G4 stuff, because he was such a big part of that, like we talked about. And for those of you guys that are here now that may have missed earlier, this whole thing will be re-uploaded on RK Outpost Live, so make sure you subscribe there. It's in the description. It's in the channel links on the main homepage, all that good stuff. I'm sure Steph's been dropping it in chat as well, but what a fucking incredible conversation. And I think the G4 stuff is only going to continue, because they've proven that they do not give a fuck about you if you don't think like them. And usually when you interact with those people, they don't understand what they're doing. When Adam Sessler continues to make light of it, when Frost goes out there and continues to make light of it, they don't understand what they've done and how they've destroyed any chance they had to be successful here, which is just incredibly fucking disappointing. And good news for those of you in the chat for the quartering, you won't get your message deleted for saying hi to the quartering like I did, because we were in the G4 chat and we got our messages deleted simply because I said hi to him. How dare I? How dare I? All right, let me get through a lot of these. I know I might not have got all the stuff for Chris. I'll do my best, but we're going to get through these because I did not think we'd be here for this long. I see Az in the chat as well. Heel versus Babyface is in the chat. I think, did you send a super chat earlier, Az? Hold on. Let me get to that. Holy shit, you guys are killing it. There's Az for 20 pounds. Says, Ryan, here's a 20-pound note to ask if I can borrow $25. I would have the money already, but I blew it on this super chat. Now I don't. There you go. Thank you, Az. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. But can I borrow $25? I'll get back to you on that. I'll get back to you after inflation. We figure out inflation. Then I know how much I actually have. Now I need to actually get back to my spot. Boom. Chris for $10. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Chris. We Chris's are everywhere. If we want equity like the media and the left is pushing, make women do male-dominated jobs. I don't think they'd like that very much. And I don't think society would be in a very good position if that were the case. And there's Jeremy again for that $50 super chat. Less than 3K subs to 100K support our Outpost. Thank you again, Jeremy. We're closing in, hopefully in the next couple weeks. You know, won't take anything for granted, but hopefully in the next couple weeks this can happen. Mipral Kodajoji. I don't know how the fuck to say that. That was terrible. For New Zealand, $10. Great stuff, guys. Thank you very much, Mipral. Brickman Andy for 2. Let's get Sailor Scout Ryan to 100K. Thank you, Brickman Andy. JT Gunter for 2. To chat, if you're not subscribed, do it now. Do it. Thank you, JT. And thank you, JT, for the RK Outpost or the RK Nation merch. Looks fucking fantastic. All fans must die for 2 pounds. I see you, chat. Why wouldn't you shag me? And it's literally a picture of Frosk. That is fucking hilarious. That is hilarious. Holy shit. Thomas TRW for 5. Why aren't there enough female gamers? Because generally women don't choose to enter that space. The free market's entirely based on individual choice. 100%, Thomas. And listen, there's probably not as many males in the knitting game or in the sewing game. Just a guess. That's just a guess that I have, but there's not anything wrong with that. We're not going to cancel the fucking knitting community. What's up for $10? Everybody acting like them deleting message on YouTube is a big deal. It is, obviously, but they mainly stream on Twitch where messages get deleted instantly on every channel. YouTubers are not used to that. It's not about... It would be one thing if they were only deleting things like, say people were going in there and saying, Frosk is an enormous pile of dog shit. Even though I think that they should be allowed to say that in the chat, and you've seen a couple people throughout the stream say shit about me, whatever, that fucking happens. It's the internet. I do think that when you're deleting things that are just like, wow, you guys are really sensitive. Wow, that ratio. Hi, Jeremy. That's all I said. That my message got deleted. That's garbage. And that's not the same. That's not the way it is on Twitch either. Twitch has more moderation standards for sure, just in general, but it's just not quite the same, in my opinion. Darth Joel for 5. Who gave Justin Bieber permission to host G4? I don't know. Is it too late now to say sorry? That's what Frost should be singing as Justin Bieber. Listen, Frost, you want to clear this up? Hold on. You want to clear this up, Frost, this entire thing? It will go away for me. If you dress as Justin Bieber, which won't take much, you already look like him. If you dress like Justin Bieber and sing sorry, if you go out there, is it too late now to say sorry? That's all it'll take. Gamers will forgive you, Frosk, if you show that you can't take yourself that seriously. That's all you need to do. That's what I want to see from Frosk. Hammerhand for $10. Winds of change or just a big fart? A big fart. I think it's a big fart at the end of the day. Now I can't fucking get that out of my head. But that'll be in my head all fucking day. Justin Bieber's goddamn song. I think it's a big fart. I don't think it's really a sign of change for many people. I think it's a change for G4. Like, I don't think they're going to really recover because they're still taking off, you know? Chuck Flea for 2. Let's be real. G4 was never good. Tech TV for life. I loved Tech TV. But I do think G4 was good in those first couple years when you had some of the good shit from Tech TV integrated with G4 and they were building. But that's how I felt. Mr. Klaus Heisler for 3. G4 activated in baby mode with Tantrum. Indeed. JB for 5. Ryan, you crack me up. Chris brings nostalgia for me, but he's more awesome than I knew. Yeah, Chris is awesome. Chris is fucking based. But the best thing about Chris is that he is like, legitimately, we can have disagreements about a lot of shit and he'll still be cool with you. You know? That's what we need. That's what we need to happen. Matt Deckard for $5. G4 ended because Geeks and Gamers culture. YouTube culture is where the energy, the soul of gaming went. This is the modern lightning in a bottle. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that, Matt Deckard. I got the fucking hiccups now, but I really appreciate that. I think that we have a big thing we can do with Geeks and Gamers in this space because people are looking for just legit people talking about this stuff. They're tired of the mainstream. They're tired of fake shows like G4. They want just real people talking about real stuff. Ancient Mariner for 5. These are where my people are. Thank you, Ancient Mariner. Flaccid Phoenix for 5. Chris, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get this one. Chris, if you're getting full control of Star Wars, what would you do to get it back on track? Says Flaccid Phoenix. I don't know. I don't know what Chris would do. Chris has some great perspectives over on Film Courage, actually, that have blown up about why the sequels didn't work, about why Star Wars didn't work. So you can check those out for sure. They need to gut Lucas from the inside out. That's what they need to do. Decanonize every single thing that has been produced under Disney Star Wars, including Clone Wars season, including the final season of Clone Wars, including Rebels, including Mando, everything. Everything needs to just gut. It didn't fucking happen. Start fresh. Mexican Iron Man for $30. I watched G4 back in the day, and as a young gamer, found Chris Gore when I was throwing 200-man PC LAN events. We all watched all the time. Been a fan of Chris ever since. Hail RK Nation from brother Mike. Thank you. Thank you, Mexican Iron Man. I'm sorry I didn't get to that one while he was on here either. Appreciate you, Mexican Iron Man. And I see the chat saying this was okay, that was okay. Even if stuff is okay, it's still in that universe. You can't. This universe is sour. This universe is failed. You have to start from the beginning. You have, like, Ahsoka should not be part of Star Wars past the end of the Clone Wars. She should have died in Order 66. All right. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. That's the fucking truth. Her role in Rebels is basically starting the fucking rebellion, like all this stuff. No, Rebels needs to be erased. It's all part of the same universe, all part of the same continuity that needs to be drug up and killed. Colonel Useless for 2. Topic change, but what are your thoughts on Peacemaker? I watched the first episode. Excuse me. I watched the first episode. Not a big fan. I think that's a fart in the wind right there. I don't think that's going to move the needle for anybody. I might do a bigger stream on it at some point, but I don't know. I don't even think it's worth talking about. It's that blah. Brian and Callie for 5 was Sessler. Oh, I read that one. Tej for 100 rupees. Fun discussions. 3 a.m. here in India. Want to say I'm pretty sad that wokeness is destroying everything good. Hope things change soon. I hope things change soon as well. Tej, thank you for the super chat. DC all the way for 2. It's called Mental Illness. That's right. Mike likes tacos for 10. Fucking nerds. Take my lunch money. Take it. Raging Ryan emoji. Thank you. Mike likes tacos. Rotten Tanuki for $25. Hey, Ryan, congrats on your 3K viewers. Please show Chris Gore my day one patch. Kids, looking at his shirt, I think he'll dig him. Also, Ryan, you're sick again. What the fuck? Get well soon. Well, thank you very much for that, Ron Tanuki. If you send me a DM on Twitter about it, I will pass it on to Chris. So I can definitely get that to him. Thank you very much. I am fucking sick again. I don't know what the hell's going on. Trucker Rob for $20. Grifting hard, I see. Your dad must be proud. Hail Rackets and hail Chris Gore. Thank you, Trucker Rob. I just decided to do a surprise Saturday stream. Didn't think 3,000 people would show up, but you never know what can happen. Thank you, Trucker Rob. A Hero's Path for 5. Chris Gore, G4, and CNN. Brian Stelters have that creepy practice smile. Thank you, A Hero's Path. Dino Rama for 5. Chris, I know you have a lot on your plate, but have you considered somehow taking control of G4 again and making it funny? I think that I don't think Chris has that ability to take control of G4. Like, I think there's a ton of fucking money behind it. So I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I'm sure if he had the capability, he would. Randy Hanley for 5. Does Chris know about that quack professor from Ferris? That's in your area where you're from, Michigan guy here. I don't know if he knows about that, Randy. Thank you. The Stag Prince for $20. It says message retracted, not message deleted. That looks like it actually was retracted, but I hope there wasn't a mistake or something, but thank you very much, Stag Prince, for the super chat. Angel Chang for 5. I know Sony gets woke, but MJK, she also attacked Sony, saying they're boring and got nothing to offer in gaming this year. She's pissing off everyone. That's why this all happened. It's because Frost had a bad take about PlayStation. That's legitimately why all this happened. She tried to blame it on sexism. Biggles for a member chat, 22 months a member. I'm glad Chris is here. Ryan, I've been here the whole time, but I had a 45-minute phone call. Also, message deleted. Well, thanks for being here now, Biggles. Again, I want to say it. This stream will be re-uploaded to RK Outpost Live. That's the second channel I have that I sometimes do with, sometimes I don't do things with. But a link is in the description of the video. You can find it if you just Google RK Outpost, or if you search RK Outpost Live. But this stream in its entirety will be re-uploaded there. Sasmatas for $2 says message deleted. Thank you, Sasmatas. Green-haired anti-liberal for 20. Desexualization of female characters in games and film also irritating because women playing video games don't want to watch an ugly character. Not just for men. Women want to be those characters. Why pretend to be ugly? I think a lot of rational people have the same thoughts. Normal fucking people have the same thoughts as you, green-haired anti-liberal. Sci-Fi George for 5. That's weird. She cooking them. That maxi pads... Yeah, that maxi pad simp squealing every time that Banshee shrinked was more irritating than her. Hi, Chris. Love from the D. Thank you, Sci-Fi George. Lake Lock for 5. I'm a little behind my comic books. Did you like Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run so far, Chris? I don't think that Chris is reading comic books now. I don't think he probably has time for that, and they're so fucking bad. But I'll try to remember to ask him next time. Like, Camisole for 10. I guess it's just way too much to ask for a show that's good about video games without anyone preaching to me. There you have it. Thank you, Carney. BJW for 10. I knew they're going to bring back G4 since late 2020. Xavier Woods said on his Up, Up, Down, Down channel and said there was a poll for people to vote for him to be a host of the show. Xavier Woods is now there. Like, Xavier Woods is now part of G4. So, must have worked. Richard Simmons for $2 says testosterone retracted. That is certainly the case when it comes to Richard Simmons. The Stag Prince for $20. Maybe that's what you were trying to send earlier. Love your show. It's sad to see G4 join the woke cult. When will all these weirdos stop their assault on gamers? Only until they are literally called out and made fun of until they leave the space. That's when they'll stop. When we force them out. Unempty Soul becomes a channel member. Thank you very much, Unempty Soul. Fuck. Talking a lot. Ancient Mariner for 5. Ryan, this is the IRS. This was a guided dollars, but we're taking care of our cut early. Thank you for the chat. Thank you, Ancient Mariner. Appreciate that. Reusing for 5. At this point, bring it back. Leo Laporte is the only way to save G4. Oh, wait. He's a crusty old white guy who actually knows what he's talking about. Yeah, none of those allowed. Chaotic Old Boar for Aussie 10. Her name, Indiana Black. That's her name. Indiana Black. If you see that name running around, that's Frosk. Indiana Black. Is something she made up for herself. She's only fallen upwards in her career where she's never held a contract more than 2 years. Says a lot about her work attitude. Not wrong. 1 Pablo Corsi for 2. Old boss did sausage mouth thing. Maybe. Unempty Soul for 5. Adam Susser couldn't save Rev 3, so why would he think they would be a net positive with his history of openly hating gamers? He acts like they are lower. And that's the thing, it's been for a while with that, and we saw in 2013 his comments with Gamergate, all that stuff Adam was involved in. But with that being said, Adam's reviews are still the most well-reviewed thing on those channels. So he does still have some pull if he would just shut the fuck up. True Pop Culture for 2. Sent you a meme about a vid about your Taco Bell rant on Twitter. Thank you. I saw you tweet about that. I will have to take a look at that. You animated that, which was probably fucking hilarious. Robble for 5. Frost looks like Odo in Deep Space Nine. Thank you, Robble. Evil Wolf for 5. Frost. Do I have to dress up like Justin Bieber and sing sorry? Exec. Marketing tells us this is the only way we can recoup our losses. That would be hilarious. WG. Oh, WG, this hurts. This would have been $50, but then you start singing a Justin Bieber song. Fuck! I screwed myself over. Thank you, WG. Sorry, I failed. TOZ Online for 10. Gerard will drop out of G4 to protect his brand. I know that someone is all over or is over all the people at XPlay. There will be some sort of apology going forward. Very interesting. TOZ Online, if you know more about that, let me know. Drop me a DM or something about that. Yeah, I felt like that may have been the case with Gerard, to be honest with you, and how that video all played out. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, we do have some Streamlabs as well. You guys are killing it over on the Streamlabs side as well. Input latency. No, I said that one. Marcelo Cantu for $10. The Friday Night Tide Show is live. Amazing. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Marcelo. Thank you very much. It was awesome. Titty Smacker for $25 for $3. That stupid bitch has no tits to smack, says the Titty Smacker. Very true. Very true. A Money Wilson for $5. If it's not G4, then there is no Chris Gore. That is for being easy on the ears and the eyes. Oh, look at that. Thank you, A Money Wilson. I'm sure Chris appreciates that. WG for $5. Here's the other 5. Or here's the other 45 for $5. Apology accepted, Ryan. Thank you, WG. Appreciate you being here and supporting. Real quick. Real quick, I gotta type this shit out. We have Bird Up for $5. Frosk attacks the audience. Night Guardian. She chose poorly. Indeed she did. Indeed she did. Morgan Webb or Olivia Munn? That's a question for the ages. I was always a Morgan guy, honestly. Like, I was always a Morgan guy. Not to say that Olivia Munn wasn't just absolutely stunning, but yeah, Morgan, from the very early days of XPlay on Tech TV, Morgan fucking Webb. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she's like, that I did really appreciate her thoughts about gaming and everything like that too. I found her very, like, completely authentic. Not that I didn't find, Olivia authentic. She was, but she knew what it was about. She knew why she was there. She was there to entertain and all that stuff. So Morgan's my choice. And then WG for $50, a $50 super chat. Thank you. My bad. Here's more. I can't count. Apology accepted, WG. Bringing people together here. Morgan Munn, Olivia Webb. Someone said no. Morgan Webb or Olivia Munn, of course. But there you have it, guys. Real quick, if you guys are new here, please subscribe. We're getting close to 100K. That's fucking awesome. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member. You can go over to Patreon. You can go over to Locals, any of those things. I appreciate the support anywhere. If you care about politics, I do have a political channel. It's in the description, Patriot Outpost. You can go there. For gaming, I'm going to do more stuff on my gaming channel, which I've kind of abandoned recently just because I've been so focused on other shit. But you can check out RK Outpost Gaming. Obviously, I'm part of Geeks and Gamers, which Geeks and Gamers has benefited greatly from G4 doing this because it's made people realize that there's another spot where you can go for real people talking about real shit when it comes to gaming, pop culture, whatever. Subscribe to Geeks and Gamers. We're over 300,000 there. We're going to start doing stuff on Gaming with Geeks again. Sports Wars is a channel I'm a part of. Over 100,000 subs over on Sports Wars. Check that out if you like sports content. For this live stream archive, go to RK Outpost Live. It'll hopefully be up, within the next hour or two if I can swing it. So you guys can watch this there. But for everybody in the chat, a massive, massive thank you for this stream. Incredible. Had no idea this was going to be the support that we got. Mind-blowing. But for those of you guys that are new here, again, I am going to do a live stream tomorrow, every Sunday at 6:30 Eastern. I'm live on this channel. So I'll see you guys there tomorrow. Can't wait for that shit. My man Drunk 3PO is live as well. If you guys want to head over to Jay's channel, you can do that. He is live, so make sure to show him some love. But other than that, I will talk to all of you guys later. This has been fucking phenomenal. Peace. Oh, real quick, we are almost done. Busta Grimes for $5. I found out from Andre on Midnight's Edge that Froskarin is an Icelandic word meaning frog. The bee herself, or named herself Frog and wants to be bangable. Ha! There you go. Glad I caught that on the last one there. Busta Grimes, I appreciate it. We will talk to you later. Peace. Oh, I'm still here. Camera's been on the whole time, huh?